Good evening and welcome to round 7 of our USAC 1978 championship, coming to you tonight from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and what I'd hazard to say is our crown jewel of the championship, the Indy 500. And if last 2 weekends ago the Mosport round is anything to go by, this is going to be one incredible event. And with me in the booth tonight I have our pole setter for this race, who took pole last weekend, Jason White. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Jonathan. Good evening to everybody watching on YouTube. And I'm really thrilled to be the pole sitter for this race. And I keep telling myself, no matter what happens today in the race, you know, I had the thrill of being on the pole. So it's been an exciting and rewarding month of May, no matter what happens from this point on.
I can very much understand that, and obviously a very successful event all round last weekend. At least for me, just watching was very enjoyable.
We had a few hiccups here and there, but our team behind the scenes do an excellent job. Yuha, I gotta say, big shout out to him. He elevated the timing and scoring to a new level of professionalism, frankly. I mean, he's very good with Excel sheets to begin with, and he was able to add a few features that I hadn't even thought of, that made finding out who was in what position as the time trials unfolded a lot better, a lot easier. So I owe him a great deal of thanks. We also owe a great deal of thanks to Alberto for producing such a beautiful version of Indianapolis. This is the 1978 edition. Just the detail that goes into this track. I mean, I think he did an excellent job. I'm really impressed. And, of course, all the people who worked on this mod tirelessly. Also, Richard Wilkes, who's done a lot of extra work behind the scenes to update the mod as we go. As everyone knows, I think David Saber says it best, mods are always like a work in progress. They are never actually ever complete. They're only done when the bell rings and you've got to go. So you're always looking for ways to improve it. You're always looking for ways to make it better. And Richard Wilkes has been doing that through the series, little bits at a time, you know, trying to make the mod that much better. And I think it's a tribute to his efforts that there's such parity in the series right now. It's basically, I mean, this is going to be a huge race points-wise, of course, but not even considering that, you look at the points the way they are right now, and it's a wide-open championship.
It certainly is. And we can actually bring those up, I believe. Let's have a quick look here at the points. Also to note, as that's the first thing that came up here, this event is part of our Lukáš Vidra Trophy of this year, and with it being 500 miles, obviously the points are a little bit higher awarded here as well in the Lukáš Vidra Trophy standings, where the winner will take away what would seem, in comparison to USAC numbers, a measly 45 points. But considering, I think the winners of previous events has taken away like 18 points, or something in that line of numbers, quite a big reward.
Yeah, it's we got to remember that we have 2 championships, as you say, going on here. So, yeah, that's definitely something to consider. I mean, it's funny because that did actually happen at the Indy 500 for a number of years in another kind of situation from 1950 to 1960. The Indy 500 actually counted towards the Formula One World Championship.
Yeah, I think they called it back then the World Drivers title or something, right?
Yeah, the World Drivers title. And it's funny because if you open any of the what's the word I'm looking for? You know, just almanacs of F1 history, and you look at the people who've won, you're still going to find names like Billy Vukovic, and Sam Hanks and people like that, you know, in there as having a Formula One win because they won Indianapolis during that time frame.
Quite.
So, yeah.
And that was also one of the reasons the great Jim Clark went on and won at India one of those years, I believe.
Well, he came across because he wanted to. That was 65, and by then it was no longer part of the.
Oh, it was.
Europeans
Yeah,
were.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, Europeans were coming to Indy back then because the payout, even to start last in that race, was just incredibly lucrative. I mean, you just could not say no. It was so much money. The same thing with the Can-Am series. The money that was being awarded was insane compared to what the drivers were making back in Europe.
So like soccer of nowadays, then.
If you say so.
In a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking at the points for our USAC City Corp Cup National Championship for the 500-mile races, the winner tonight will take away 1,000 points, which I believe is around a third of the points a couple of the drivers has already scored.
Yeah.
So quite a lot.
Yeah, it'll instantly vault someone, if not into the top 5, then definitely in the top 10, depending on what they've done prior. We've got a lot of people here tonight who are not part of the series proper. They're driving one-off cars, so we may see new names on the points chart. In fact, I know we will, because points are awarded all the way down through. There's no. As long as you start the race, there's no situation where you won't score points. If the car is rolling at race time, then you've essentially scored points. So
indeed.
Yeah. The interesting part too about this is, I mean, if you watched qualifying last week, the cars were, redlining at the end of the straights and just pushing really hard and very loose and everything. That was then, and this is now. I mean, this is an entirely different situation. The cars will be behaving differently. They'll sound differently because the revs will be dropped a lot. There's so much different. I mean, before the task was to go 4 laps, 10 miles as fast as you can. That was the task. The task now is to go 500 miles and get there first before anybody else. In order to do that,
and without destroying the car in the process.
Yes.
Preferably.
In order to get there, you have to take care of the motor. You have to take care of the car. In particular, if you bring up the keys to the race, this dovetails into that nicely.
We will do that very momentarily. Just the top 5 in the standings before the event. David Yates still holds on to the lead of the championship at 1,368 points. On the back of 2 brilliant wins for Mikey Grems, he now lies second in the championship on 1,110 points, so roughly 258 or so points behind David. Only a 130 odd points behind is Alberto Jr. on 986 points, and Juha Bors lies 4th on 966 points, with Jakob Ferguson 5th on 910 points. So very, very close, even in the top 5, and even further down the standings, which we can't see at the moment. It's even closer.
Yeah, it's there's definitely a lot of parity, and it definitely shows that just because, I mean, there are a lot of people in this series, far more people in this series with Offenhausers than with Cosworths, and that was the case at the time. Cosworths were not only very expensive, they were not plentiful. Getting parts was very difficult. So most definitely, this point spread shows that just because you have a 4-banger does not mean you're not a championship contender. Jakes has shown that he can win, and so is Mikey Grems, in cars that are frankly outdated.
And now for your keys to the race, Jason. As you mentioned, it's now a task of going 500 miles, so it's 800 turns in total, 200 laps. So, for the love of all that's holy, and possibly some stuff that might not be holy, be patient.
Yes, please be patient. You're not going to win I've had extensive conversations with Adam Hackman and Juha Boss. I mean, we're all competitors, but none of us wants to crash out on turn 1, lap 1. None of us wants to incur damage. We didn't practice all month to do that. So, we're definitely in a situation where we have to remember that. We have to, be nice to each other, give each other room, and I think you'll see a lot of caution in the opening laps to make sure that we don't have any stupid things happen like that.
Very, very likely indeed. And hopefully, as you say, everyone will be careful and we'll get a great race going.
Hope so.
When we are longer into the race, there is a possibility of double stinting your left side tires. That would be the inside tires, having less wear obviously on an oval. To try and save a little bit of time in the pits. I think you save somewhere between 5 and 7 odd seconds in the pits if you change only two sets of tires.
Yeah, it's you do save a lot of time. Like for example, if you're changing 4 tires, that will take you maybe around 20 seconds in the pits with the fuel that you're taking on. If you only change the right side tires, it could take 14 seconds, sometimes a little less. So that's a lot of time. A second in the pits is 100 yards on the track. So definitely that's a concern. But you know, there are some people who are driving the slower cars who may actually try double stinting all the tires to save a little bit of time. For example, you know, we've actually done some tests to see what happens if you just fuel the car and see what happens. And it turns out the stop is 13 seconds. So, okay, you might go, well, that's just 1 second, you know, but add that up. You know, if you do that for like a couple or 3 stops, if you're able to make that happen, that means that you've saved a bunch of space on the track. So, you know, the other school of thought is that you're going to give that back anyway when the tires get too worn. So who knows? But something to keep in mind. What was the last thing? I gotta move on here in a second because we got to do the
very
understandable. Got to do the briefing.
And obviously, with the fuel limitations we have with how much fuel you can use, each stint should ideally be 29 laps. If you can go a little bit longer, I suppose that would be preferable, but at least 29 laps if you plan on finishing the race.
Yeah, I mean, that's key, because if you have to make a sudden stop, and we saw that happen actually in the test race yesterday that we did, some people didn't make it to the end of 28 laps. They had to stop and get a splash. And obviously, if it comes down to 7, if you've done 7 stints and you do that at the end of 500 miles, you're going to be disqualified, because obviously you've taken on more than your allotted amount. Indeed. So that's key, and this does mirror what was going on back then. It was USAC's way of keeping the competition as tight as they could by limiting the amount of fuel allotted. You couldn't just turn up the boost and run away.
It was that time's BOP, I suppose you could say, or balance of performance.
Mm-hmm. All right, I've got to run, but I really appreciate you broadcasting this. Hope everybody enjoys the race, and hopefully it'll be a fun and an exciting contest for everybody.
It's sure to be. Good luck, and I hope you have a great time.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
You too.
User disconnected from your
channel. So that's Jason White, and it's nice to see all of you here. I can see Barry Lynn is here. Evening, Barry Lynn. And we have Kale. I know you're racing is it the Sugoi Fox, I think it's called? One of the odd beasts out there. I hope you have a great time. And I noticed Luciano Roja as well is in here before the race. Best luck to you as well. Hope you have a good time. With the fuel limitations that Jason and me mentioned, let's actually have a look at that. For the 500-mile race fuel limit, the drivers will be allotted 7 full tanks instead of for the 200-mile races 3. And that equals to roughly 1,057 liters, or give or take about 280 gallons. And as he mentioned as well, drivers violating this limit will be disqualified post-race. Hence the last-minute splash maybe not being the best way to go about it. Before we have our traditional Jim Neighbors song and presentation, let's have a quick look at the track that we will be racing in form of the track map. We are, as I mentioned, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, also known with pretty happy hearts, the Brickyard. It's a 2.5 mile rectangular oval, and we will be going, as we mentioned, 200 laps, which is going to equal 500 miles. And considering what testing has shown, covering those 500 miles will not be the easiest of tasks. So I hope our drivers have gotten their cars well set up to be nice and calm underneath them. But with that, as the drivers are getting ready to jump into their cars, let's hand it over to Jim Neighbors for the yearly and traditional singing.
Home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamores for me. The new mown hay sends all its fragrance through the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the woodland, how I yearn for my Indiana home. Ladies and gentlemen.
So thank you kindly to Jim Neighbors, performing there back home again in Indiana. I think is the name of the song. Every year I get the name of the song wrong, so that's why I didn't mention it the first time, before he started singing that. Hi Richard, nice to see you here. I certainly enjoy Jim Neighbors singing there, it's very nice indeed. Let's see, out on track at the moment we have quite a few of the cars actually getting their final few laps in to try and get ready for this. One of the drivers is Anders Nilsson in the Grand King Agashanian entry, one of the Dragon cars to be precise, number 98, and I believe Richard Coxon is in the other Dragon, I believe that carries the number 99. And in practice for this event, in race trim, they've been running very, very close to one another, within about a tenth. So I think they will be most likely going hammer and tongs together around the track, possibly helping each other with fuel as well. Let's see, we have Greg Dalacella in the Tibon Gelhausen entry, having a different approach to getting ready. We have Brad Salmon here for a one-off drive in the series in the number 98 Dayton Walter Racing, which I believe is an Offie-powered machine, so probably not in with a all-out shot at the win here tonight, but could prove to do quite well. Let's see, we have David Saber there, currently running Okay, he hasn't set a lap yet. I thought he had set a lap with the way the timing worked there. So David Saber, one of the McLaren drivers, I believe Dana Schurer is driving the second McLaren, the yellow flash of McLaren colors. And I know more or less for a fact that Saber will be wanting to have a good event here as well, as of course I suppose all the drivers will want to have a good race. Currently Alberto Ibañez actually up into 4th here, quite impressive. And Alberto Jr. just ahead of him, so quite nice as well. With Hackman for Penske currently quickest at a 47.135. I am aware that the Penskes has been the class of the field as drivers has been getting ready for this. Here's David Yates, this time powered by the SGD once again, having been powered by a Drake engine in the previous round. But obviously new engine and not quite as well tested as they would have liked. They decided to revert back to the older engine. Brian Yannick back again in one of the older chassis and engine combinations, the Finley Offie. So the Finley very well balanced as an early 70s Eagle, so should be probably a very nice handling car here. Let's see, K.O. Michiels there in the Sugoi Fox. Qualified by Michael Drexler, but feeling not quite up to the task of tackling the 500 miles. K.O. very kindly jumped into the car and took on the challenge for him. We have Filippo Marazzi as well, driving the number 24 here tonight. We have Louis Stevens in for a one-off drive in the number 93 Finley Vatis Enterprises, so the second Finley in the field. And we have François Remen driving the Janet Guthrie racing car. Texaco Star sponsored, so if it's anything to go by with the Texaco oil sponsorship, the car will be quite fast. And we have Simon Wattman, as Jason mentioned, driving the third Works Penske. Ooh, a little bit loose for him at the moment, running at the high line there. I know they've been working together to try and get that car up to speed. We have Jason Fish in the AMC. Fredriksson, there's Juha Bos in the older Penske PC5. And there's Dana Schurer's number 6 yellow and red McLaren. Here's Richard Coxon, number 97 is the other Dragon, Grand King Arishanian entry. There's David Miller standing in for Aniel May in the Volstedt. I know he's been looking forward to this, so hopefully he'll be able to have a good one as well. Currently actually Alberto Jr. on top. It's quite impressive for him, knowing that with the end of the school year there's quite a few bits and pieces needed to be done, and lack of practice could be a factor, but so far the InScope Racing entry is going very quickly indeed. Just before we go into the race, because I imagine the race would be quite hectic early on, let's give you something to ponder during the race. So if there's ever any downtime, you can obviously have a think about this. Which of the following drivers won the Indy 500 in only their second start? Was it A, Mario Andretti? Was it B, Rick Mears? Or was it C, the late great Bobby Unser? I have to say I got a bit lucky with this one. I had a guess when I saw it and I actually got it right. So it's a very good question, and one that suits this event very well indeed, at least in my view. So let's see. We are about 20 seconds away from seeing the full grid of cars getting going. Here we can see, ooh, bit of a mistake in the pit stop testing there. That's a bit unfortunate. Let's turn away from that. No need to let you know who that actually was that had that moment. On board here with the blimp. Very nice vantage point. Now let's see, time is out, so we'll shortly get into the race session. And here we are. Just last few moments of preparation for this. As it looks like we have 31 cars taking the start, so a couple of late non-starters in this race, unfortunately, but just the way the world is now, unfortunately. I know Steve... Oh, last name evades me. But Steve, driving one of the Eagles, I believe, was unable to make it for this race. But on pole is Jason White for Penske. Second on the grid is Adam Hackman, his teammate, also for Penske Racing. Johan Boos lines up third, so make it the top 3 drivers driving Penske chassis. Cesar Slapinski lines up 4th, with Ryan Yannick lining up 5th, Mikey Graham 6th, David Yates in 7th, Ray Riddall in 8th, Alberto Quino in 9th, Jacob Ferguson in 10th, Simon Watman 11th, with Alberto Ibañez 12th, then Ashura 13th, with Martin Alsina 14th, August Watering 15th, David Saber 16th, Brun Chacon 17th, with Francois Remen 18th, Richard Coxon starts the race in 19th, with Anders Nilsson in 20th. Raul Yareb lines up 21st, with Jason Fitch 22nd, Brad Salmon 23rd, with Greg Dalacella 24th, Louis Stevens 25th, with Jules Bourgeois 26th, Luciano Roja 27th, with Jason White in 28th, Dave Miller 29th, with Marazzi 30th, and Keo McKeels 31st on the grid for this 500-mile race. As the drivers, I believe, are just coming through the last turn now and getting ready for the green flag to fly. Let's see, as the safety car looks to be heading off. So Jason White has control of the field up until the green flag is out and we are underway. Everyone stringing through turn 1. And so far looks like everyone has been able to survive it. Oh, and that looked like a car running very far back. No, actually, someone else is taking the lead. Johan Boos has jumped into the lead. So Johan Boos actually has the lead in the race at the moment, with Cesar Slapinski in 2nd and Mikey Rems in 3rd, so Jason White has been dropped to 4th. And Adam Hackman, his teammate, also having a lackluster start, dropping to 6th. It's a very interesting start to this race. As we can see, everyone streaming past, and it looks like everyone has been able to survive this opening lap. as I just had to make a small adjustment. Oh, and that's Jason White, I believe, taking third on the entry to 1. And that's Fitch and one of the Dragon cars fighting. Here comes Nilsson, so that's Coxon having a good start then. It looks like everyone is running at the moment. And here comes Mikey Grams trying to attack back on Jason White, but it looks like White, with that Cosworth power, has a bit of an advantage in the very straight line. So for now, Jason White looks to have secured that third place. Well, Fredriksson in 5th, Yakes now up into 6th. Saber 7th with Hackman 8th. And then we have Ibañez, Yannick. I believe Equino in 11th, sorry. It was indeed Equino in 11th. Ray Riddle currently in 12th. With Watering in 13th and Wattman in 13th for Watering, 14th for Wattman. I think I might be getting a little bit excited here. Fitch, with a looks like a pretty decent run, but decides to do nothing with it. He just wants to sit behind there in the AMC and save some fuel. Coxon in 16th at the moment, with Lacina in 17th. Remen just now dropping to 19th. So Chacon up into 18th. As Jason White sets the fastest lap of the race, that's very quick indeed. As Schurer currently runs in 20th, with Brad Selman in 21st, Raoul Reb 22nd, Jules Bouchard trying to has a big loose moment, and he has to let Anders Nilsson go by. So Nilsson up into 23rd, Bouchard down to 24th. White at 25th with Stevens 26th, Miller currently 27th with Rocha 28th, Della Cella 29th, Keo Michiels in the Sugai Fox 30th, and Filippo Marazzi for Leader Card Races currently 31st. And Juha Boas looks to be running away with this race at the moment, 3.5 seconds his lead, with Schlapinski just a little bit further behind. Let's jump on board with him for a moment here and ride along with him as Jason White looks to be closing in. Wow, look at that straight line speed that Schlapinski has over White. Even in the slipstream, White was struggling to keep up. But that corner speed difference is very large indeed. So either Schlapinski is running very low wings on that Coyote, or he's running slightly higher boost at the moment. I suppose it's one or the other, as Brian Yannick, with, I presume, the help of the draft, sets the fastest lap of the race at a 47 flat. Oh, and Greg De La Cella and Alberto Ibañez is out. Oh dear, whatever happened here? If we can catch it, I'll have a quick try at rewinding, but let's see, we can see De La Cella come down the front straight here. Oh dear, okay, that's very, very unfortunate indeed. Looks like he had a moment with dirty air, or getting the full air, as it were. Oh, and it looks like Ibañez had a big off as well, going through what I think is turn 3. He spins, hits the outside barriers, and oh dear. It looks like that's unfortunately very much the end of his race, as that's a beaching in the grass. That's very unfortunate, but just one of those things, I suppose. Schlapinski, as we mentioned, fastest lap of the race at the moment. White in 3rd, Grems in 4th, trying to hold on with his offie, and Yakes likewise with the SGD. Saber 6th, Fredriksson in 7th, so quite a few drivers we know very well from this series so far running up in the top of the standings, as we have our first 46 of the race, first by White and then his teammate Hackman. So the Penske is running very well here tonight, as I suppose should sort of be expected, with Yannick holding on to 10th at the moment, with Ray Riddle now up into 11th for the Chaparral Racing in the Lola. Fitch currently running 12th. That's very, very good indeed for the AMC. He is definitely making good use of the chassis he's got, which I believe is an Eagle chassis, which should give him some very, very nice handling, so should be a very nice car to drive for this race, if a bit down on power overall. Watering now 13th, with Wattman still in 14th. I believe they were those positions earlier as well. Coxon in 15th now, with Chacon 16th, Lacina 17th. I believe they've all gone up one position. Jareb in 18th, with Remen and a big fighting group here, with Nilsson and Saber joining in. So let's have a look at this for a lap or two. Give them a bit of screen time. I believe by far the lesser car here would be the Dragon, but all of them doing their very best. Ooh, sure, taking the high line there, that looked a bit scary. Even though it's early on in the race, I reckon there's still a bit of marble build up out there, so could be dangerous taking that line. And now Nilsson with a good run. Let's see if he can make anything of it. He's certainly trying. Owen takes all the way down to the apron to try and make the move, and he does. Owen Schurer has to check up behind Remen. So Schurer drops pace as well, and here comes Salmon with a bit of a run. That's definitely one of the things with these cars, with the big massive turbos that are on these cars. If you drop off the boost gauge, as it were, you will be going very, very slowly indeed. And Schlapinski again with a faster slap, and now really starting to hassle Dana Schurer, as we are joined in the broadcast booth here by Alberto Ibañez. I'm really sorry to see you out so early, Alberto.
Yeah, it's really something that, well, it happens. I had a screen stutter when I was going into the turn, and I don't know why it happened, but I think the computer was overheating a bit. Maybe that was the case. I don't know. It's a very hot day here. I'm sweating, and I had that micro stutter, and it suffers to not be able to really take the turn well. I don't know. It's bad luck. Sometimes it had happened to me previously, but not in the middle of a turn at Indy. So
I suppose it's one of those things, unfortunately. As you say, hot day, and obviously at any other track, a small fraction of a second might not mean much, but here, where you're going so incredibly quickly, if something goes wrong, it goes wrong very, very, very big and very quick.
Yeah, had it been in the straight, probably it would have been no issue, but I don't know. Anyway, since you're alone here in the broadcast booth, I thought I'd drop and comment the race with you.
Thank you very much, and as you say that, we have a fight for the lead by the looks of things, or at least for second, because Bors is under attack from Schlapinski, and White has caught up to both of them. So it's two
Yes,
Penskes
Cesarius was glancing the wall one moment ahead before. I think he was in the wake of Juha Boss, and his car was not very stable there. But now it seems to have recovered, although Juha Boss has been able to open a bit of a gap there, so it's most Cesarius who is now on a more defensive position against Jason. But look at that, I mean, the Coyote is very quick in the straight line.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder if he's running very low wings on that, or if it's just the Foyt in the back of that thing that's
it's very likely.
So strong.
I modified my initial setup to have lower wings, and it had been working very well in the warm-up and at the beginning of the race. I gained some positions and was able to keep a good rhythm, but I guess in the Coyote that's even more exaggerated.
Possibly. Very interesting to have that double wing around this track. I would see that as a bit of a danger, but working for the moment it is. Michael Graham still holding on to fourth in that Offie-powered Timon Gellhausen entry. That's very, very impressive, but he is being chased by the Patrick Racing entry of David Yates with, I believe, an S3D power plant. So a few
Yeah,
more
it's
ponies
slightly
in
more
that one.
powerful than the one in Mickey Graham's car. Mickey Graham's obviously is running a very low wing and absolutely doing everything with driving talent in the turns to keep the car pointed in the right direction. So far it's going well, although it will be very demanding in terms of concentration over the whole race. So we'll see how it pans out once we are more into the race and the laps start to take its toll in the mental concentration of the drivers.
That's certainly something to keep in mind. As Jason and me said before the race, it's 200 laps, 800 turns, so doing that for 800 turns and holding on and concentrating could be very, very demanding, and mistakes might creep in. Sixth at the moment is David Saber with the Works McLaren. I think he'll be very happy sitting there at the moment. And looks like that's the Interscope number 25 car of Alberto Quino, your son, sitting in 7th, so presumably he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, he wanted to take it easy because this is a very long race. For him it was enough if he was there in the top 10, always in the lead lap, because he wanted to feel the car, see how it goes, because you know, because of temperature changes and all that, the track never feels completely the same. We all got a setup that is so much dialed in that any small change can immediately make you feel different. So the wise thing here is to really be just trying to be in the top 10, just trying to keep in the lead lap. And then when the race is further down the road, then, well, obviously start the race and to see what you can achieve. But setting objectives that are too ambitious is one of the worst things that you can do here.
Very much so. Let's see, we have a bit of a battle group here with it looks to be Fredriksson, Hackman and Ridol running just inside the top 10. A trio presumably helping each other to try and catch up to the leading group, which is what looks to be probably some 15 odd seconds up the road. 12 seconds it is up the road. And still running way up the field is Jason Fitch in that Warner Hogden Racing entry with the AMC power plant. That is very, very impressive indeed.
Yeah, it's car 11 in position number 11, but it's certainly something very impressive in the right now, because that car is certainly one of the slow ones. It's not as slow as the off-grid powered one. Roger McCluskey got to really brought it to some decent positions, finishing positions, because the car didn't certainly lack power, but the chassis is obviously quite outdated by now, even if it's very balanced.
So it might be the power plant helping him along, but obviously a well-balanced car will help you overall around here, no matter what kind of power plant you have behind you.
Yeah, certainly.
And let's see, Yannick running 11th with the third Penske, Works Penske of Wattmann running 12th. That's a bit of a top and bottom battle in terms of the chassis, I'd say. The Finley being one of the oldest, technically oldest chassis in the field, and the Penske PC6 being one of the most modern and possibly the best for this particular track.
Yeah, it's a bit of a contrast, isn't it?
I have to say, Yannick is doing a fantastic job with that thing.
Same as Mickey Graham's, they are making up with talent what the car lacks in performance.
Indeed.
But anyway, I mean, at this point in the race,
Oh no! Saber's out!
Yeah.
Oh
What
no,
happened there?
what
I
happened
didn't
to
catch
him?
it in the replay.
I'm going to try it. Meantime, Ray Ridol with the Lola sets the fastest lap at a 46.7. Oh, looks like a big crash for David here. Let's see, coming through what I think is the same turn you went off in, actually. Looks a little bit loose on entry and loses it on exit as it snaps sideways. Heavy
And all the
contact with the
meanwhile,
wall.
Cesarius Lapinski is in the lead now. He has overtaken Juha Boss.
Oh dear, he has indeed. possibly with a bit of help from traffic, as I noticed they've lapped
Yeah,
two
yeah,
of the
they are
drivers.
coming already to lap traffic, and we will see if this is just a matter of the lap traffic or if Cesarius really has more pace than Juha Boss here. It doesn't seem as if he's getting away that easily from Boss.
Well, I think
Although with everybody driving in low boost, you can click the magic button and immediately be behind the other car.
I think they were more or less running the same pace. I think Cesarius might have been just a tad bit quicker, like in clean air, so could be a case of when he gets clean air, he might be a little bit quicker than Juha at the moment, but obviously still a long race to go and anything can happen with White now sizing up. Oh, is that an off in the background? That's, oh no, that's Alberto Equino.
Damn it.
That's a very understandable way of putting it. Let's see if we can find him on... I wonder if he struck the wall earlier and had a bit of a puncture or something. Let's see if I can find him. That's the main problem.
Whoops, and I see his car wobbling about a lot during the replay. Maybe he also had stutter. Because I see the car... Look at that. I mean, the car was wobbling, at least in my screen. The car is wobbling left and right before spinning. And I think it's about the same thing that happened to me. I don't know. Maybe we're suffering today from a problem in the internet connection. No idea.
Could very well be. I mean, that's a very, very unfortunate off, but I suppose, again, just one of those things with sim racing. That's a bit like saying, well...
Yeah, well, it's more than 30 cars today here, so...
Indeed. And it's one of those where you would say, I think it was Anse Junior who 1 year had I think it was like a 5 pence or something like $1's worth of equipment breaking.
Yeah, that was the case for Bobby Anser, yes, in 1972. A 610 thing
was
that
Bobby?
broke.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what deprived the Eagle 72, the year that it debuted, from its first victory at Indy. Yeah, because Anser was absolutely dominating the race, and I think it was, I don't know if it was a, well, it's something, an O-ring or something like that was really, really deep. So.
And I mean,
anyway,
just
let's hope it's not the case for Cesarius and the other drivers today.
Certainly looks like they are having a good time. Meantime, Grimes and Yates are now running more or less nose to tail, and I'd assume, knowing their oval experience, they will be trying to work together rather than fighting between themselves, but obviously you never know for sure. Ray Redol now up to 7th, with Paul Alberto's off, and August Watering, the home man, is out as well. Oh, looks like a hit with the... Oh, that's a big hit as well. Oh, looks like he lost it on the entry of turn 4, just like little Al. Looks like out in the dirty stuff, and it just goes on him, and then it goes again because he lost the wing on the contact with the outside wall to begin with, and possibly the engine with that as well. No, actually, the engine was working, but possibly suspension damage, and that's why he decided to park it. Very unfortunate, but again, just one of those things around this place.
Yeah, we're 25 laps into the race, and this is more or less the time when the nerves start actually settling down, and you get into a rhythm.
Indeed, and then just another, about 3 laps from now, people will have hopefully made it that far and have to pit.
There's actually Simon Watman is going in the pits now.
Oh
There's
dear,
also Luisa Stephens. Oops. Bouchard is already there. Yeah, that's Watman there. Oof, the cars are really hard to control here in the pit.
Well, they were able to do it though, so that's good.
This is a normal stop, I would assume, but it's a bit early, 26 laps.
Indeed. I notice quite high up for the cars, the Sugai Fox, who never actually made it into the actual 500 of this year, is running 20th in the Hansel K. McGill's. As it looks like he might be heading for the pits. No, just taking the low line to let Yates by. Very nicely done.
Okay, Cesarius continues in the lead.
Yeah, and a Voss at the middle
47.1.
running 21st. As Simon Wattman comes out of the pits in 19th.
And Cesarius just did a 47.1, which is more or less what you would expect once you are starting to get low on fuel.
Yep, especially running on your own, I'd assume. With a draft, you
Yeah,
can obviously
yeah.
go a little bit quicker. Ooh, Yates with a very wide line, having to contend with, I think that's Wattman who came out of the pits.
And Cesarius is in the pits.
Oh,
Lap 27. That's a bit early. That's a bit
right
early.
on the
Look at
limit.
that. Juha, Boss, and Jason can do a lap more.
Yep, he starts lap 29 right now, as he heads into the... As he crossed the line there, he started lap 29. Oh, and there comes Grems and Yates as well on cue, and that's Remen exiting the pits. Jason Fitch in as well.
Juha, Boss, and Jason 1, of course, signal in the pits, and let's hope that they have not been over-optimistic and they are not now unable to make it to the pits.
Well, I suppose from here you could more or less coast to your pit box. Obviously you would lose a whole heap of time, but you would at least be able to make it.
Yeah, here is the leader coming. Cars are really dangerous to drive at slow speeds. The pit lane is very bumpy, so it moves the cars a lot around.
And there comes Ray as well into the pits, and is the second Penske of Hackman. So that's Coxon, I believe, leaving the pits just ahead of them.
Oh, and that's going to block Juha, Boss. That's not going to go down well.
Oh, that's very unfortunate.
Not at all.
That's
Juha will now have to reverse and will likely lose the lead. Yeah, it is. Look at that. He lost the lead to Jason White. Now he has to reverse. Now Ray Riddle is getting out, and Adam Hackman also. And oh, whoa. Lot of traffic jam here. Fredriksson came out. Now this hurt a lot, Juha, Boss. Although I think that Jason only changed the left side tires, and I think that in the case of Juha, Boss, he changed all fourth. That's what it seemed to be, because the car was lifted from both sides.
Wow, and fastest lap of the race right now, Simon Wattman right out of the pits. As he's now stuck behind Jason Fitch on the other hand. That's a bit unfortunate for him, but dispenses with him quite comprehensively right there. At least I believe he will. Ooh, actually, he will, but I think Wattman is probably running high.
Accident there. Brad Salmon has hit the wall.
Oh no!
As the
Oh, he's
leaders
coming
were
right down!
lapping him.
Oh no! That's Juha, Boss! Oh dearie me, that's really unfortunate. I think Brad Salmon was about to come into the pits. I see he had 3 cars behind him and he lost it on the entry to turn 4. And then obviously lost the wing, and looks like either a puncture or suspension damage, and nowhere for Juha, Boss to go either. So that's unfortunately both of them out, I would hazard to guess.
And so the leader now is Cesarius Lapinski again. With all these misfortunes.
And quite comprehensively too, nearly 10 seconds. Ahead of David
Yates. Because but bear in mind that this all is because he pitted one lap earlier. Okay?
Well,
Jason and Juha. So when they came out of the pits, they also had some delay, but also Cesarius was coming at full speed from his lap. So that's the explanation for all that difference.
Yeah, I suppose so. It's just surprising. Wattman now quickest lap again as he passes what I think was Yannick for 7th. So that's a 46.0. Just 3-4 laps out of the pits. That's very, very impressive.
So it's now Cesarius on the lead, 8 seconds or something like that. Behind him is David Yates. Then a further 7 seconds down is Ray Riddle. And in middle right behind Riddle is Mickey Grems, top 4. And the top 5 is rounded by Jason White, who is only 1 second behind Mickey Grems.
I wonder if... I know there was a Penske who had to take avoiding action of Salmon's unfortunate retirement there. I wonder if that was Jason and that's why he's all the way back there, because he was at the front of the pit lane but ended up behind both Yates and a couple of others who I'd assume... Oh, and unfortunately I also noticed now Dave Miller is out. So unfortunate for the Volstead team. I think that was too long ago for me to be able to get it out, but that must have happened around the same time that Salmon and Bors had their unfortunate retirements.
Mhm. Cesarius continues to lead, and he is now on traffic, coming to Raúl Jereb. This is one of the
May very well be held
situations.
up here.
Yeah, he's using the boost to overtake. Goes down into the turn easily. But now it's a tricky situation, because if you got another car nearby to you, the air effects are very big. Your car gets lighter from the rear.
Well, it looks like the Penske's are turning up the wick for sure. Hackman now in 8th, with Wattman ahead of him now in 7th, and looks like he will be challenging the cars in front in not too long a time. Now going for
Wattman has been doing very quick laps, because he did a very low 46 the last lap, which means he's using higher boost. I don't know what's his plan, but he certainly will not be able to keep this up for long.
I suppose it could be he noticed that I won't make it running on the low boost either, so I may as well go for a bit of glory.
I don't know.
It's one of those where it might be that he's just trying to get into a position where he's in a better spot and then try to save fuel from there. But as you say, it's difficult to say for sure what's going on. Let's see, the rest of the top 10 is Fredriksson 7th, Hackman 8th, Yannick 9th, and Jason Fitch, car number 11, the Warner Hogdon Racing AMC powered car, running in the top 10. That is tremendous.
Yeah, that's what it actually did at Indy, so...
And it's still one of those... I'm a bit gobsmacked that it's able to run that quick. But it still has the most glorious soundtrack in this field.
And it seems that Cesarius' lead is shrinking a bit. It seems that David Jakes is making a dent on it. Maybe it's because of traffic. But Cesarius hasn't been lapping especially quick. And I guess it has to do also with the fuel conservation. Because if you really don't need it, you are not going to be stamping on the foot so much.
Could very well be. I noticed Simon Wattman did another fastest lap, and now he's sitting right behind his teammate. So he is getting a double draft here, so I wonder if he'll do another quickest lap even without running full boost. Maybe not, because he now dropped back a little bit, so possibly...
Maybe he used for some laps higher boost to get back in touch with the position he thought he should be. And says, I will coast behind the other cars then and try to recover those laps extra that I used too much boost.
I suppose that could be the case. It's just a very, very hit or miss strategy. Let's see, Bruno Chacon currently running 11th in the second Gilmore Racing Team entry. Obviously the Toyota in the hands of Slapinski going very well, and looks like Chacon is enjoying his drive as well. Atlas Simna currently running 12th for Sherman Armstrong. Coxon for Grant Agashanian in the Dragon currently up into 13th. That's quite impressive for that car as well. Many of the, I suppose you call them also rans, is doing quite well in this race. Or in some cases might more be correctly put at Indianapolis as also tried to qualify.
Yeah, you mean the cars that in real life didn't make much of a difference, right?
Hmm.
Because we have here some very talented drivers in those cars now. For example, there's Richard Coxon. He's being lapped now by Cesarius Lapinski. But Coxon is a driver of very high caliber, and he's a former Indy 500 winner also.
Indeed, when we ran it for the 1973 season,
Yeah,
I
correct.
believe.
So he has proved that he can do very well in long distance races. He can pace himself very well and also knows how to save fuel.
Hmm. And a recent taker to oval racing and seeming to enjoy it quite a lot and being quite handy at it as well is his teammate, both here and at Ferrari in our 1986 Formula One Championship, Anders Nilsson.
Yeah, they are both teammates today, also driving for Agajanian.
And I notice while other drivers have bit dust, as it were, we have a few one-offs running towards the rear of the cars running right now, who are one-off entries and doing very well indeed to stay in this race. We have Francois Remen, who is a modder and especially track creator of some renown, and clearly looks to be enjoying himself. I suppose the way we put it in the forum, cosplaying Janet Guthrie.
Indeed.
And just a few places behind, we have the Sugai Fox still running inside the top 10 in the hands of Cave McKeels, another handy peddler who's putting that car to very good use. And we have, I believe this might be Lewis's first drive in this championship this year. Lewis Stevens in the second of the Finley Vatis Enterprises entries, the Finley Eagle running 21st, and seems to be having a pretty good time at it.
So it seems Lewis Stevens was racing some time ago, and now he wants to be back in the league, and is very much looking forward to driving here in USAC. He's very quick, I must say. Last year he was on a one-off in Formula 191, and he took pole position by some margin, showing how quick he can be. This obviously is a very different type of car. So he's still learning here, and it's not the best car either, but I mean, the guy has a lot of potential, that's for sure.
Well, I'd say it's possibly one of the best cars for learning oval racing, and especially learning Indy, considering it's the Eagle chassis, which should give him a very balanced car to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice to see. And we have Roja and Marazzi currently running the final cars running, but looks like they're only 11 seconds apart, so still some possible battling for both of them to be had.
And Simon Watman, as soon as he was again behind Jason White, absolutely cut back, and he's not just following him all around the track. So it seems that indeed he basically cranked up the boost to sprint back to the position he wanted to be in, and now he's coasting along trying to save the fuel.
Well, understandable, and both of them have gone by Mikey Grems while we looked at the drivers and cars further down the field. And it looks like the gap at the front is constant at around 8 seconds, so Slapinski must definitely be pacing himself right now. I think he pitted a little bit early, so it could be that he's trying to save a bit of fuel this stint. Just slightly holding back to make sure he makes it. And the ever consistent Ray Riddle running just inside the top 10 early on, and now in third after the pit stops.
So Cesarius still in the lead, and a very constant distance to David Jakes here, I must say, always between 8 and 7 seconds. It seems that both are on very similar lap times. then again, it's very early on. I mean, everybody is just preserving fuel, and the key here will be how much fuel they can preserve and how quick they can go in the last stint.
And I think certainly the drivers currently at the best spot was Juha Boos, but unfortunately, as we saw, he retired a few laps ago. But Jason White definitely is in a good spot. He saved an extra lap fuel the previous stint, and I can't see him not doing that this time as well. See, 29, that's 40, 58, lap 58, so about 12 laps from now we should see, should be the next time where they should have made it to before they pit for the second stop.
And Ray Riddle driving a discreet race, but always in a very solid third position. And this reminds me a lot of the real race, where Al Unser was always there again, discreetly in the top, but never leading the race, until the end of the race came closer, and then everything unfolded very quickly. Let's see if he can keep it there, because that's certainly one ideal position to be in.
Certainly so, and definitely within striking distance. I mean, 16 seconds, that's half a stint worth if he puts up the boost a little bit. If he were to want to take the lead at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of getting the feel, with me growing up with the Herbie movies, the little Volkswagen. I'm getting I think it's the first one called The Love Bug, where they are at, I think they actually filmed that at, it might have been at Riverside, I think. They filmed that, and the mechanic just goes like, calm down, not now, keep it calm. And you see the whole car just hunker down like, okay, I'll just take it easy. And that feels like what it is right now. And then come the last stint, maybe stint and a half, we'll see the mechanics going, no! And everyone will be starting to go hell for leather here. But that being said, he's wasting no time lapping the cars around him, is Ray Riddle. It looks like Wattmann is still sticking with Jason White here. The question is, can he make it to lap 58 with all those laps of higher boost he ran?
That'd be interesting to know. We will see if he's able to recover. I must say that while in the few laps that I've driven, I was able to overtake other cars using a bit of the boost, and yet when I was going through the start-finish line, my fuel consumption was very much in check, because between what you spare holding the throttle behind the car in front and the extra fuel that you use in just a quick dash overtaking in the main straight, it somehow evened up, and you would be very much on the same full target. So it could be that this hasn't been that bad for Simon.
Well, that being said, it looked like he just looked up the inside of Jason White going onto the front stretch, so it's either he's...
Yeah, well, they are coming now to traffic, so it's not exactly the best moment to try anything.
Oh, true.
With your teammate, I mean.
I suppose it's... Ooh, Esmarazzi has a bit of a moment coming off the final turn. I think he was able to hold on to it, but that looked very loose for a moment. As we're watching on from the wall cam just on the exit of turn 4, one of the most loved camera angles at Indianapolis. I especially remember this camera angle from... When will that have been? It must have been the 90s when I was watching it. And, I think it was possibly Mario or Michael having an off in one of the whites as Louis Stevens is out. Oh, dearie me, that's very unfortunate. Yeah, I remember that camera angle. You're seeing one of the white, like I think they will have been Texaco sponsored cars coming around the corner and losing it and going to the bottom of the track and going out. That looks like an engine failure to me. The way his car stopped. Let's just ride on board here with Lewis and see if that's the case or not. Oh, it was indeed. It sounded like he changed down to try and gain some speed.
Simon is going to the pits.
Oh, already? Dear me, that's very early indeed.
Yeah, that's something, I don't know, maybe something wrong with his car. I'm not sure what's going on here. Well, in any case, I mean, the rules for the race are about fuel use. So if you have now still some gallons, you are not happy with how your car handles. But if you have now some gallons in the different stops that you do, you spare them. You should theoretically be able to do an extra stop, not just the 6 ones. Do an extra stop and put only those gallons that you did not use before.
Yeah, I suppose that's a strategy you could go with. It's just yet again a bit dangerous because you are traversing the pits an extra time, and that loses you a bit of extra time. So you need to
well, I
really
don't think
make
it's
it
a
up on the
strategy
track.
per se, but I mean, if your car is not handling well and you want to make modifications to it, it's probably your only option, because being out there with an ill-handling car, that's something really dangerous.
Yeah, I suppose so. It's just one of those situations that you rarely see.
And Cesarius has increased his lead now to even 10 seconds.
And while that goes on, Fitch goes up into 8th ahead of Brian Yannick.
Jakes is now in traffic, which likely explains why the lead has stretched a bit.
Indeed, that was I think that looked like 3 or 4 cars running together on track there, so quite a bit of traffic to try and work your way through. He's lost a good 3-4 seconds in that traversal of the traffic. And yes, indeed, because Ray, who hasn't hit it yet, is currently now 3 odd seconds behind. Ooh, as ahead of him, Keo Michiels looked to have a bit of a loose moment on the entry to 4, but he was able to hold on to it. As Wattman again does the fastest lap of the race straight out of the pits, a 45.9. That is absolutely blistering, but that's probably a bit too quick to make it on fuel. Unless, as you say, he's filling it up to, I don't know, 75-80% of the total fuel tank or something.
Yep. So Cesarius goes another lap by. That's lap 56 for him, which means this stint, because he pitted on lap 29 the last time.
Yep, starting lap 29, so...
Starting lap 29, so I mean, well, yeah, with that lap under his belt. So if he can do the same now in clean air, because he's likely going quicker in clean air than he had been in traffic before. If he can repeat it, he should be beating in 2 more laps. So far, I don't see that he's calling the pit crew yet, which seems to indicate that he is very happy. Neither does David Jakes.
Oh, actually, here comes Cesarius straight into the pits.
Oh.
That's 2 laps early now. Well, technically, well, yeah, 2 laps early. Oh, was there Chacon, his teammate, trying to get into the pits, and looked like a car had parked right in front of his pit stop. And Jakes in on the same lap. That's very early for him.
Yeah, that's quite early. We will see, because now Jason, as per the previous stint, will probably be able to stretch a bit his lap. And we will see now Cesarius is coming out. And now we have to be watchful with what happens with Jason White, because Jason is likely able to extend his pit stop. Mickey Grams also was in the pits and is coming out in front of David Jacks, who had a very... Jacks overtakes him on the exit of the pits.
Yep,
but he had a very long pit stop.
Indeed, looked like that was a bog down for
And Jason
Grams.
White is coming now into the pits.
Oh, but Ray continues another lap. That's impressive, but it looks
yep.
like he'll be pitting next time if that movement was anything to go by. So right on target. Here comes Jason White this time around.
Yeah, let's see what happens now with Jason. Oops, nearly misses the pit.
And behind him is Fredriksson. And here comes Yannick as well, and I believe that looks like 97, so that would be Coxon.
And I think here comes the Coyote, here comes Cesarius. Jason still in the pits. Fredriksson is even overtaking him. Well, this time Jason took both tires, both sides, and it has hurt him a lot. There comes David Jakes, there comes Mickey Grams. Jason is now 7th.
And there's Wattman as well going past.
Quickly now we must see what is going on with Ray Ridal. Ray Ridal, who is first, is pitting now, right now.
So that's a very long stint for him.
Let's see how it goes. Adam Hackman now also coming to the pits. Yeah, very long stint. Very good looking for Ray in this situation. Let's see how quick he can be. Because I think, yeah, that's already Cesarius going by. He's now 3rd. And he comes out of the pits. Lights the tires and there he goes.
Oh, but
He's
Hackman
in
with a
3rd
quicker stop,
position.
but not quite able to stay ahead of him. As there goes Grems, I believe. And here's, that would be White, I think, just going by. No, that's Wattman.
That was Wattman, yes. Dana Schurer now coming to the pits. Anders Nilsson exiting the pits, same as Raul Jerez. And let's see, Kiyomi Kiel signaling pits now. That's on the back of the grid. Now everybody seems to have done the pit stops. And we see that Dana has been one of the drivers who has stretched it more.
I wonder if the different positions they're in now is indicative of taking 2 and 4 tires.
Yes, for sure. Cesarius is now nearly 20 seconds in the lead. And I'm betting that this has to do with him taking only right side tires. Jakes and Fredriksson are very close to each other. I'm not sure what's going on here because, yeah, okay, they are 2nd and 3rd. So they are fighting for the 2nd position. And Grems is directly behind them.
Yeah, and I think that's Lacina had the box seat for that one. That looked a bit scary. And now it's Bouchard, I think.
And this is a real roller coaster because on track the positions don't seem to change much, but as soon as they come to the pits, man, what a difference it makes.
Indeed, now on board with Ferguson, looking back at this duo behind him. It looks like Ferguson is he actually his team calling him in?
Yeah, they are teammates, Fredriksson and Jakes, both driving for Pat Patrick. That's the cars that were driven in real life by Steve Kriselov in the case of Jacob, and Gordon Jonko in the case of David Jakes.
Indeed, so.
Quite appropriate for someone who is also an Indy winner, as Gordon Jonko was back then. Jakes there trying to sneak by, manages to do it, and since Fredriksson has to open the door, Mickey Graham slides by.
It's one of those, you buy one, you get one free, I suppose, for Mikey. Like you hold on to the car in front of you and suddenly he opens the gap for you to take one position as well. And right behind him actually, Simon Wattman. Shot like out of a cannon. But obviously with the fuel situation still in a little bit of doubt, at least for me. But it certainly looks like all the Penskes are running quite high wings this evening, and that clearly is making passing a little bit of a tricky proposition for them.
Yeah, they hold on well in the turns, but if they come to the main straight, they don't have the push that they need. Maybe they need to go to higher push settings, and you cannot be doing that a lot of time. So Jason Fitch still holding on to the top 10 with the AMC Eagle.
Yep, noticed that. Not too far behind Yannick still, so definitely in a very good position for Jason here. I think for him, a top 10 here would be a win in itself.
I just noticed that Keijo Mikia is also abandoned.
No!
Yeah, the Sugai Fox has not been too lucky this year.
Let's see if we can possibly find out what happened though. Looks like it happened quite a while ago, so probably not going to be able to get it on the broadcast. So that's unfortunately the Japanese contention, well, at least by name contention, out of this one. Technically built in Britain, I believe. As you mentioned, Fitch still holding on to the top 10, and Yannick just a car in front of him here, so looks like Fitch over the last couple of stints is reeling in Yannick and will now pass him for certain.
And Cesarius has an incredible lead of 20 seconds. That's amazing at this point of the race.
Holy moly, it is indeed.
Jakes, after overtaking, has been able to stretch a bit the distance. Nicky Grimes is following him, and then Jacob. Adam Hackman, sorry, Simon Watman is right behind them, and then comes Jason White.
Yep,
Next up would be Ray Riddle, who is very close to Jason now. It's with the car of Martin Lacina in between.
Yep, and then another car between Riddle and Jason's teammate Hackman.
Yeah, there goes Riddle. Dispensing with Martin Lacina. Although Martin seems to hold on there. Yeah, he does. Well, he's a lap car.
Ooh.
He's interfering a bit here because Ray Riddle is going to suffer here from... Look at that. I mean, Adam Hackman was nearly right behind him. Yeah, he clearly, I think, Ray Riddle crank up the boost. Be able to complete the overtake in time.
Yep, and that was
now
very,
can
very
follow.
close to disaster.
Yeah, and he can now follow on Jason.
Here
Lapping
comes
very
Fitch,
quickly.
actually,
Last lap
but
for Jason White was 46.847, which is very quick.
that's certainly true.
If you're
wonder if-
already venturing into 46s, that's I mean that's something. Even Cesarius, with the big lead that he has been usually doing just 47.
Ooh, Jason Fitch here with a massive moment coming off of one, just as I was following him for a turn.
And I'm seeing here that in the case of Keijo Mikias and Luis Stephen, the reason for the abandonment is listed as engine.
That's very,
Since
very
the engine
unfortunate
let go.
indeed.
And Cesarius has a lead now of only 12 seconds. It was 20 before, it's 12 now. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, it says 20 for me, so I wonder if that's
Well,
a
it
timing
depends.
glitch.
In the hood it says that. In the total lap times in the board it says 12. So
Let's have a quick gander at it from the wall on the exit of 4.
I can see that Jakes is lapping quicker than Cesarius in the last laps. Not
Here
by a
comes
huge
indeed,
amount,
that's
but quicker.
12-13 seconds, so you're right, the in-game HUD is lying.
Cesarius is lapping about 0.2 of a second slower than David Jakes is. Maybe if his pit stop was only for right side tires, maybe this is starting to hurt him.
Could very well be the case. Well, in
It's
that
very long
case,
race. We are not even half distance yet.
no indeed. That's one of the crazy bits about the Indy 500. And Mikey Grem's actually still holding on to third, just ahead of Jakob Fredriksson now, who looks to have Jason White. No, sorry, that's Wattman indeed for close company still, so Wattman sitting there saving fuel for sure. I can see no other reason why Wattman wouldn't try to pass him because I'd assume Wattman is quicker than the Pat Patrick racing car of Fredriksson there.
Yeah, he should be, but he's likely trying not to waste too much fuel.
So then it's 5 seconds from Wattman back to White, with all a further 3 behind, and only a second behind him is Hackman, so the Penske's that are still in this race running very close together.
And Jakes is now behind Bruno Chacon, which is the teammate of Cesarius Lapinski.
Well, let's see if they employ some F1 tactics here, or if we are keeping it USAC-like.
Well, the thing is that this Coyote is not going to be an easy car to overtake, especially for the wildcat.
No, indeed, but it looks like here he goes.
Does it in the chute very neatly there. I mean, he did it well, acting there, because the Coyote, the problem is that it has a very big top speed. So it's a car that is very hard to overtake in the straights. You need to get close to the turns and then do what Jakes did. I mean, overtaking the chute before they are coming out of the second turn, and the Coyote is able to stretch the legs in the main straight or in the back stretch.
That's very true indeed. We've seen that on a couple of occasions, the straight line speed that Coyote has. Let's see, Chacon, as you mentioned, currently running 11th still, Lacina 12th, Coxon 13th. It looks like he has company from Dana Schurer, so she's doing quite well with that McLaren, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
That I would guess is not the easiest car to drive around here, considering it's supposed to be more of a road course car.
Well, it adapted well for Indy. These cars were driving quite well here, but yeah, they are more nervous and lively than the other cars. The cars with Formula One heritage are this one and the Parnelli that Dittelal was driving.
See, Raoul Yareb for the Fletcher Racing team in 15th at the moment. Anis Nilsson, Coxon teammate, 16th. Jason Whitewood still running in 17th now. I think he was running a little bit further up earlier. But possibly looking after the car and engine a little bit. Jules Bouchard currently 18th, with François Remen in 19th. Luciano Roja in 20th, and I believe final car running at the moment is Filippo Marazzi in 21st. So with what looks like a bit of a lull in the action, we will have a quick word from these very important messages, and hold on tight because we will be back in just a few moments after these messages.
Something in the yellow pages. You need the right arrangement. To promote reliability, brand names and authorized service, the hours you're open, the completeness of your service, your location. And don't forget illustration and copy, because if you say the right things, your yellow pages ad can make some beautiful music. Say something to your composer, your yellow pages salesperson.
When American Fletcher said, "Ed, we want to be your bank," I said, "You may say that when I have money, but what about when I need money?" They said they could give me a loan for just about anything I needed without a lot of hassle. Then they told me I was worth more money than I thought. And I said, "American Fletcher, you want me? You got me."
And on the track now is two-time 500 winner Johnny Rutherford.
You can be a winner too when you play Burger Chef's exciting and challenging 500 racing facts game. Just buy any sandwich, fry, and drink combination, and you'll get a game card that will test your racing knowledge.
Boy, I got a tough one. Hey, this is great! I just won!
I've got the best one. Who won the 76 500?
Be a winner. Play 500 racing facts only at Burger Chef.
Now, True Value hardware stores offer a selection of beauty aids for your lawn to keep it looking its best. This Weed Eater Needy trimmer edges, trims, mows, and sweeps a 16-inch path where the mower can't reach. The Black & Decker double-edged 16-inch hedge trimmer keeps shrubs and evergreens neatly trimmed. And this Rockwell Lawn Edger and Trimmer cuts a neat, narrow edge along walks and driveways. Beautify your lawn and garden with the help of quality name-brand tools from participating True Value hardware stores.
And we are back here at the Indianapolis 500, the 1978 edition here at International Sim Racing Organization. During that quick ad break and those important messages, I noticed that Simon Wattman headed into the pits and came back out in 10th.
Yeah, he's absolutely out of sync in terms of pit stops with everybody. I don't know what's going on there. But I don't know if he's making the fuel. So in any case, at the top, things are as they were, with Cesarius Lapinski in the lead, although doesn't have that much of a lead anymore to David Jakes. It has shrunk to 11 seconds or something like that. Third is Mickey Grems, and fourth, right behind him, is Jakob Fredriksson. Fifth then is Jason White, also quite close to only 2 seconds behind Fredriksson. Sixth is Ry Riddell. Seventh is Adam Hackman. Eighth is Jason Fitch with the AMC Eagle. Ninth is Brian Janik, and the top 10 is rounded up by Simon Wattman, who has all those extra stops.
And not too far behind him actually is Bruno Chacon and the Gilmore Racing team.
Yeah, well, and in the middle is David Jakes, so he's going to put a lap on Simon Wattman in that case.
Well, I noticed last time Simon pitted, the same kind of dynamic showed up where he came out in the same vicinity of which David Jakes were, and that was one of the moments where Jakes may have lost like half a second or something, trying to deal with that situation.
Now Cesarius lost even a bit more time there with lap traffic.
That would have been
honoring very much
White,
the car of AJ Foyt.
Pardon?
Honoring the car of AJ Foyt.
Indeed. Certainly doing what AJ did on, I believe, quite a few occasions at Indianapolis. But maybe not always with quite the result he would have wanted.
And
So-
we are at lap 82, so we are not that far away from the next stop, because that will happen between laps 84 and 87.
Indeed, so that will be another thing to keep a lookout for.
Right when people were settling in the position, it seems that the pit stop is needed. He's shortening the stints that happen in the half to late 870s for the USAC. It added up a lot of liveliness to the races.
Indeed.
So let's see. Keep
Yes.
an eye here, because if Jake's now goes only for 2 tires, he could very well be up in front there. We will see what happens. I don't think that Cesarius is going to take only 2 tires this time. I think that was the case in the previous stint, and that was the main reason why he had such a big lead. But now, I don't think he's going to do the same. And I can already see in the camera from the first turn how he's not that far away from David Jakes. Or it's 8 seconds, but I see some cars already going into the pits. See?
Down
Jakes
to
is signaling pits.
and Jason Fitch in the AMC is in, so
Yeah.
just about on
Same
target, I
goes
think,
for
in the Le Mans as well.
Remen. Yeah. Martin Lafina is also in the pits.
See, Sklapinski continues for one more lap. Jakes is in though. So I wonder if that SGD is struggling to make fuel when they are running out of traffic, as it were, without a draft.
He is so far on target with fuel, so in that regard it's nothing too problematic. But if Cesarius is able to stay out for one more lap, that can mean stretching the lead a bit. So
Indeed.
Fredriksson is now second, who also has been able to stretch it. He went past Mickey Krems because Mickey Krems was leading him some laps ago.
Quite. I wonder if this is like, oh, I'm actually on
And here
target
comes
now. I just
Cesarius. Here
boosted.
comes Cesarius.
Well, here comes
He
our
will go
current
into the
leader,
pits.
and that is Lacina in the pits as well, running a couple of laps behind.
And Krems is in the pits, but Fredriksson goes for one more lap. Although signaling the pits already. And I'm wondering now, let's see where David Jakes is. Yeah, this is a longer stop, I think, for Cesarius.
Wow, Schlapin, I wonder if I only saw the right side up in the air. I wonder if he only took
you're
2
right,
tires
you're
again.
right. You're right, I was looking at the clock and it was indeed quite quick. Maybe he's going to triple stint those left tires. I don't know.
Well, it's a possibility, but that would be quite scary, I reckon. That's the same kind of pit stop time that Jakes had, I think. More or less the same difference now as Jakes
Okay,
comes
here
around.
come Fredriksson and White.
Well, let's see what happens here. I know Jason was contemplating doing two tires. As in, I suppose that was bad verbiage, so like 2-4-2-4.
And this puts Ray Ridal again in the lead.
Yep.
We're stretching very much his pit stops because we're on lap 87, and if he enters now, that will be lap 88. Hackman
That
is
was
right behind
Lapinski,
him.
Jakes going by. Now White exits. Let's see, where is Wattman? Fredriksson exits as well. I believe here comes Wattman.
And Hackman diving into the pits, and Ray Ridal also signaling the pits. But goes one more lap. It's amazing the amount of fuel that Ray Ridal is saving. He's going to stretch it to lap 89.
Wow. He is definitely in the very best position to make use of this.
Nearly 30. He's getting nearly 30 laps from a tank, which is amazing. I mean, that means he will have to play a lot with the boost. He will get to play a lot with the boost later in the race.
Indeed.
and he's now 20 seconds in front of Cesarius, 26. So we'll see how this pans out when he exits the pits. But so far, this is looking well for him.
Indeed, let's see if he pits this time by. It looks like he will. So that's
One thing
another
that
30
can make a
laps.
lot of a difference is how quick you go into the pit lane.
Indeed.
And we're
How
seeing
much-
here that some people are risking it more than others because it's really scary.
Yep, and he didn't quite get a straight line into his pit box, but close enough.
Okay,
Hits his marks.
he's in the pits. Cesarius is now in the main stretch. He's going to recover the lead. Now he's in the lead again. Riddle is still in the pits. Goes down to third as David Jakes goes by, but exits the pit in third position, whereas before he was in seventh, which means that was something that worked out very well for him. It's clear that stretching one more lap the pit stop is paying dividends, because before the first pit stop he was like ninth or something like that, and stretching it for one lap put him in seventh, briefly during the lead, and the second pit stop put him in, I think it was something like sixth or something like that, and now he's third. So if he continues at this rate, he seems to be like leapfrogging forward.
Indeed, and I think he took 4 tires last time. I think he may very well have taken 2 this time. That may also play dividends in where he ended up, but he's right ahead of Grems and Wattmann. So, very nice strategy from Ray right now, and obviously being able to save a bit of extra fuel always will help you in the strategy game. In the meantime, we're back to the 7 to 8 second gap between first and second, and between Schlapinski and Jakes. So very much a back and forth between the two of them. And then some 20 odd seconds back to the rest of the runners from third on back.
Jake's now bottled a bit behind the slower car, but really not that far away from Cesarius, only 5-6 seconds. Down to 7 now because of the time lost there, but he's definitely getting closer.
Much so, and I'd expect him to continue to get closer if Schlapinski indeed is triple stinting the tires.
We will see.
And to re-emphasize that would be triple stinting the inside tires.
Oh, of course.
In case someone just thought, how is that even possible?
Half a stretch is the lead in physical terms of Cesarius to Jakes.
So that means Jakes can actually see him now, so...
Yes, there's visual contact, that's for sure.
That'll be nice for him. Fitch now after the pit stops in 9th, so he has finally overtaken Yannick full stop, as Yannick has actually even dropped behind Chacon. So Yannick down to 11th, and Chacon up into the top 10.
Yeah, but that's likely probably because of how many tires they've taken.
Possibly.
Here is where the differences between strategies are starting to become evident.
Well, in that case, Coxon must have taken 4 tires, because he's in 15th instead of 12th or 13th.
Lapinski now, one more lap for him. That's lap 94. We're approaching to the halfway of the race. It's been quicker than one could have anticipated.
Indeed, it'll be just over 2 hours, probably
2.5.
2.5, maybe 2 hours 40 minutes if the drivers continue at this breakneck pace. And more traffic for Ślepiński to contend with.
Yeah, this is probably in the worst possible place, but never mind. He should be able to dispense with them in the backstretch. Going there to the inside for the clean air.
Yep, but it will have lost in just a tad bit of time, I believe, compared to Yates, who, from what I could see behind him, had a clean couple of turns.
The distance between both seems to have stabilized a bit. But what worries me is that usually the one who leads at Indy most of the race is not the one who wins. That's normally never the case, so we will see.
It's certainly a worrying statistic for Ślepiński, but I suppose there's nothing wrong in doing exactly that, leading more or less from flag to flag.
Yeah, well, if you are quick and your car is handling well, what are you going to do? Not lead just because that way you are not supposed to be spooked later in the race?
Well, if you are or not being a native English speaker sometimes is frustrating. I can't come up with it. Anyway, well, if you're a bit worried about such things, then you might actually do that. But it's in this case, it certainly looks like Ślepiński is happy to run in the lead and see what comes of it. Who was Filippo Marazzi just retired?
Oh. Jakes is now passing cars in the main straight, which puts him closer to Cesario, who had to deal with them in the corners. Let's see how things are behind. Riddle is still in third. Nicky Grimes in fourth, although the distance between both has opened a bit. Ramon Watman in fifth, Jason White in sixth, Jacob Fredriksson is seventh. But man, do these pit stops change things, because I can see that there's gaps now between them that were not there before.
Indeed, and positional changes as well. I mean, Fredriksson was running third just before the pit stops. And someone who's actually not too far behind one of the Penskes right now is Jason Fitch in that AMC Eagle machine,
Holding
currently running 12 seconds behind. Well, White now actually caught up to his teammate Wattman once again. I wonder if the Penskes ever tire of having to look at their teammates' cars, as we now young on board with Jason White, and look at what he's seeing his teammate Wattman up ahead, and ahead of him Mikey Grimes and I believe that's an Eagle. is a viewpoint I really like to take, because here you can really see the different lines they take to try and get some clean air on their cars.
Distance between Cesarius and Jake keeps shrinking at a very slow pace, but shrinking. You can see it's only now a single turn. Cesarius is exiting from the turn at the same moment Jake is entering. About 1/3 of the stretch now.
Looks like it's just under 5 seconds. So as you mentioned, it's definitely closing down. And now Schurer very sportingly takes the high line to let Jakes by. Still takes one turn and the shoe to make it a complete lapping, but nicely done. And if I saw that correctly, that's everyone up to 10th place has now been lapped by our leader. As we are
Yeah, I think that's
a little
the
bit
case.
over halfway.
Simon Watman now running in front of Jason White, catching up with Nicky Krems. And I wonder if Simon not being able to make that qual is actually helping a bit his teammate, although there is not much of a tow in these cars here today.
I suppose it's a case of every little bit helps.
Jason Whitehead is going into the pits now. A bit early, I would say. We are
Wonder if
lap
that's some damage, then.
103. I would venture that it's between lap 115 and 120 that we should be seeing people go into the pits.
Looks like the car is at least going straight for Whitehead, so I wonder if he may have struck the wall and picked up a puncture or something then. Oh, I say it's going straight. That looks a little bit of a handful on the apron. Pardon, I was getting sidetracked. What did you say, Alberto?
Oh no, nothing, don't worry. I was looking at the difference and Cesarius can now start to be worried because look at that, David Jack is growing bigger and bigger and bigger in his mirrors. Even distance from the car, from Cesarius' car.
See, there goes Slapinski, and there is already David Jakes. It is indeed very close. That can't be more than 3, maybe 4 seconds between them.
Or yeah, 3-4 seconds according to the hood.
Which I think is probably right. Give or take probably a second on that one. There goes Slapinski with a big boost move to put a car between himself and Jakes once more.
Yeah, he has sped up a bit, but still he cannot shake off David Jakes. And Ray Riddle, again, as I said, very discreetly there, 15 seconds behind, but holding on there. And we will see, I'm looking forward to see what happens after the next pit stop, because if again he's able to gain a full lap on all the cars in front, I'm seeing smoke there in the pits.
Yeah, that was Wattman exiting.
Okay.
So he's in now.
Following
So
Ray Riddle. And it's interesting how even after half the race, the top 5 are still not really that much away from each other. Actually, the top 7, you could say.
Oh dear, one of the Penske is there, but I'd assume that's Vatman. Ahead of Ray Bridor, just had a bit of a visit with the wall on the extra 4. Wasn't too hard, it didn't look like, but probably enough to possibly tweak the alignment a little bit. The Dana Schurer is out.
Yeah, so it seems I just noticed.
Oh dear me. I suppose concentration is starting to take its toll. But that looks like that could very well be an engine.
Well, I don't know, it says the finish maybe engine problem, so it's
Oh no, it wasn't. That was actually a disco. Oh dear me.
Oh no.
That's really unfortunate.
It is, yes.
That too, unfortunately, with sim racing is one of those things that can happen, similar to that O-ring issue. Similar to with the screen stuttering that you and possibly Little L experienced.
Well, Little Al told me sometime before that the car snapped on him. He was not expecting it. So it was, well, the Parnelli is not exactly the easiest car to handle, and it basically caught him. It's a shame. I had hopes that he could be grabbing some good points here, but, well, anyway, it went south for me very quickly too.
It's very unfortunate, but again, one of those things.
Still plenty of 500 milers this year to go.
that there is indeed.
Now Jakes has clearly in his crosshair Cesarius, but he has it no hurry, obviously, because we are only in lap 110. And I think everybody's like waiting now for the next pit stop to see how it shifts the order.
Indeed, because we're only, give or take, 6-7 laps away from the next stop, I suppose.
Yeah, something like that. I would expect it. Yeah, I would expect them between 115 and 120.
I suppose the benchmark is the 120 mark for Ray Ridhall and everyone else.
Yeah, Ray now is going slower and is dropping back, and I think it's the consequence of having taken only left side tires. It brought him up, but now it's taking its toll. But again, he's able to do 30 laps. I'm pretty sure that he will do a massive cutback in that distance.
Very much so. And while you say he's dropping back, but he is keeping up with Vatman, who pitted just a few laps ago, so...
Yeah, he's now 18 seconds behind Jakes, but I have had him in 15 seconds at one point, you know? So he's really dropping a bit behind.
And I noticed Jason put a move on Grems as you were talking about the pit stops there, so White up into 4th just before the pit stops. Looks like he's going quite hard in these last few laps of the stint. Clearly pulling away from Grems. With Vatman's pit stop, Fitch is up into 8th again.
Yeah, and right now in heavy traffic, he has Lassina and Vatman in front of him. Jakes is signaling the pits now. Now this seems a bit too early.
Certainly.
Cesarius doesn't make any move yet. No, he's gone past, but Jakes is in the pits. Jakes is in the pits. We will be watching to see if he changes left, right, or both. Okay. Very well aligned for the exit. Right side tires for him now changing. Car goes back to the ground. I'm not sure. Yeah, there you go. He's changing the lefts also. This is along a pit stop. Now he's back in the ground, and he's out.
And unfortunately, someone else who's
seventh
out
position.
is Coxon.
Oh,
So unfortunately, one of the dragons biting.
pitch in the
against
pits
him.
in 8th position. Jake's coming out of the pits. Fredriksson in 6th position, not in the pits yet. Hackman in 5th. Mickey Grimes in 4th. Jason White is 3rd now. Ray Didal is 2nd. Cesarius is 1st, but has not yet been in the pits. Going for another lap.
So unfortunately, one of our former Indy 500 winners had an off there. That's a crash for Coxon, unfortunately. Yeah, so Jereb has hit the wall as well and heading towards the pits with no wings on the car. Oh, that's a snap coming through 4, that looks like. Goes right up into the wall and is able to hold it there as...
Okay, and Cesarius, the leader, goes in the pits now.
Okay, let's see. There he went past Jereb's stricken car.
Ray Riddle now will take the lead momentarily. Let's see how many laps he can go.
Looks like Slapinski is changing all 4 tires as well.
Yeah. Ray is in the lead now. Opening the gap. With Jason White, who is also signaling pits now. But the important thing is, when does Cesarius exit the pits? He's exiting now.
He's doing so right now. So that was quite a speedy pit stop.
Yeah, it's going very quickly.
I wonder if he's only changing 2 tires at every stop, but interchanging if it's outside or inside.
Well, if the
tires.
car moves on both sides, then no, they are changing all.
Well, I noticed it lifted up the inside tires, but I never saw them lifting up the right side.
Well, that's interesting. But I think that would be too risky.
Certainly very likely to be risky. Here is Lacina out as well now. So past halfway, all the tiredness is starting to come. I believe this
Jason
is
White
turn
in the
3.
pits now. It's behind the Corvette pace car in his slot.
And unfortunately another snap on entry. That was Lacina. Let's see
White
now.
and Fredriksson are both in the pits.
Yep, let's see. White.
Both exit at the same time. Very synchronized here. Fredriksson hits the throttle, wants to overtake there.
White struggling to get down the power after the pit stop though.
Yeah, he was caught with turbo lag, and Fredriksson is an old fox and basically was able to squeeze by. Grimes is 5th. I don't know if he has pit yet.
I think he has.
Hackman, who was 2nd, is now in the pits. And Ray Riddle is still holding on there. Very impressive how he can stretch it. He's 20 seconds in front of Cesarius.
And still 2 laps to go to hit his 30-lap stint target.
Yep. That's really interesting. Because he's lapping now low on fuel, which means he's going quicker. That's the good thing about stretching your pit stop. And he's going for another lap. Yes, he's signaling already for the next one, but look at that. I mean, if there is someone who is being savvy with the fuel today, that's for sure Ray Riddle.
Certainly so. That is. This is to me nearly Yake's level. Oh, Yake! Talking about Yake's is out.
No way. What happened?
Looks like an engine failure.
Oh yeah, he's blown it. Oops. Damn it.
Oh dear, that's a big failure as well. Oh, that's really rotten luck.
It is. And Ray Riddle also out.
What?
What's happening here? Not out, but it's in the grass. He spun. I think he spun.
Oh, it snapped on entry for him. Hard into the outside wall as well.
Oof.
Oh no! And the inside wall. That's a very crippled car. And that was one of the cars looking exceptionally good for the win here tonight.
Yes. That's a shame. He's there crawling into the pits. Oof. But I don't think that car can be repaired, to be honest.
Well, if they are able to repair that, the team, he will have to get the crew probably two, maybe 3 caskets of whatever. Ooh, oh dear.
He should think about quitting this, because that car is not going to get repaired.
Well, at least he got it to the pits, so that looked a bit scary, but he is in the pits at least, so the crew can have a shot at fixing that car, but that will be a very, very lengthy stop if they are able to fix it in the first place. So with those 2 retirements, 2 race potential winners here out, now Fitch up into 7th for the AMC team. And Brian Yannick for the Finley Vattis Enterprises entry will be up into 8th.
Well, this is what Indy is about, you know, surprises always.
Certainly so, and it looks like if Anders Nilsson can go for another couple of laps here, he could very well, if he's lucky, be up into the top 10 with a Dragon chassis.
So this is now Cesarius leading by 20-something seconds Mickey Grems. Then 3rd is Jacob Fredriksson, and 4th is Adam Hackman. 5th is Jason White. 6th is Simon Watman, hanging on there, although we have serious doubts about him being able to do it on the distance. 7th is Jason Fitch, amazingly holding on there with the AMC car. Brian Janik is 8th. 9th is Bruno Chacon, and rounding up the top 10 is still Brian Ridal with repairs in the pits.
I think Anders Nilsson will pass him as he crosses.
Yeah, very likely, very
past
likely.
him this time by.
And the question is if the car will be repaired or not.
Indeed.
When the pit stops working on it.
It's very much a question to be asked, and let's see, that's Anders Nilsson now up into the top 10 for the. Oh dear! There's contact between him and that's Bruno Chacon. Chacon putting a lap on him, and there was contact. That looked very scary indeed.
Probably was not expecting it.
I suppose so. Would still have been scary though. So nearly 30 seconds it looked like the lead for Shlapinski now. So I would probably hazard to say that unless he runs into any kind of trouble late on in this race, he is very likely to take the win. It looks like, I'm just scouring the pit lane, but it looks like Brevidol has at least taken that Lola out of the pit lane again. There he is, just coming off the pit apron and staying on the low line. Who unfortunately ends up right in the way of Adam Hackman there. Just one of those things.
Well, it seems that the car is repaired. It doesn't seem to be like going in a weird way.
No, indeed, and look at that. 3 Penske swarming that Chaparral Lola. Well, you say that, it looks like the Lola might be slightly crabbing to the left a little bit, but
well, but that's also that's normal in these cars for ovals, and I can see that his turn speed are pretty normal, so it seems that it was repaired indeed.
Well done.
Maybe the hit was taken mostly by the wings, which can be repaired, and not by the suspension.
Well, let's hope for him that that's the case, and either way he will probably need to be very kind to his pit crew after the race, for them making sure he can continue in this one. Let's have a quick jump on board here with Simon Wattman as
And there goes
his
Jason
teammate.
White.
Pardon?
No, there was Jason White lapping right.
Yep.
Now.
And Wattman next up. Ooh. Throws it up the inside in turn 2 and makes it work. But that unfortunately more or less broke up a 4-car fight for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Which would have been between Fredriksson, Hackman, White and Wattman.
Hackman now chasing down Jakob Fredriksson. By the looks of things, it seems that he's catching up quickly with him.
Yeah, certainly looks like he's trying, and I believe if Yates had the SGD, then presumably Fredriksson has the SGD power plant as well. Ooh, and Fredriksson with a big loose moment coming off of 3. That's a bit like smelling blood in the water for Hackman, I'm sure.
Yep. All 3 Penskes, by the way, aligned one after the other.
Indeed.
Hackman in the lead, and then Jason and Simon. Pitch up to 7th.
Yep, absolutely incredible with that AMC-powered Eagle, but...
yeah, well, given the retirements in front of him, you can see why that is the case.
Well, even saying that, he was still running just outside the top 10 before all the retirement started, so he is there on merit too, not just through retirements of others. As we can see there, that's, I believe, Raul Jareb heading for the pits again. I wonder if he pitted just for repairs earlier and now in for fuel, possibly.
Bouchard is also in the pits now.
Or was that Bouchard? Yeah, that might have been Bouchard, actually. I think both of them are running red or orange S cars in this race.
And what I'm thinking is that with all these repairs and the laps lost by Ray Riddle in the pits, at least he will be able to crank up the boost maybe a bit more, go even quicker.
Certainly true.
That could help him recover a bit the lost ground, maybe.
If nothing else, but to at least score a few more points. Since it's in, I believe in the 13th, like the teens, it's 25 points of position or something. Compared to the 2 to 4 points that would have been in a 200-mile race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, points are very big here, so it really pays off for them. Jakob Fredriksson now has his sight on Mickey Grems, who is running second in front of him, but is himself chased by Adam Hackman. It's like, in any case, in these long races, it's interesting because all the moves are like slow motion. I mean, nobody's really in a hurry because they know how many laps are still there.
Indeed. It's a bit like drivers have said previously as well. It's like, well, there's 150 laps of trying to put yourself in a position where you have an opportunity at a good finish or a win. The last 50 laps is where you actually race.
Yeah, pretty much. Graham's now lapping Francois Remen. But yeah, it's a situation where there's a lot of pressure there for him because he can see the other cars there behind him.
But Fredriksson too is a former 500-mile winner here at ISO, so he has the strategy and the mindset to be able to do well. As I believe that's Wattman heading for the pit lane. And that looked like a very slow entry, so possibly out of fuel as he heads for the pit lane this time around. So if that's the case, that's cutting it very fine, but he did make it to what I think is lap 132 for him. Here comes Fredriksson up the inside of a lapped car. I thought that was Grems for a moment. My apologies, I'm getting all excited here. But that does give him a bit of a gap to Hackman once again, as Hackman got balked by that lap traffic, which I think was whited, if I can recognize that car correctly. I'm fairly sure it was. No fault of whited, it's just the way the Indianapolis track is.
So the importance now of running here in this or that order is basically in case there is an abandonment in front. I mean, if you are not in striking distance of the other car, and we're approaching already, well, the moment where there will be only 50 laps go, if you are not close enough in those situations, then you cannot do anything more. I mean, this is the people that really want to go for the race, they are already starting to be on the move.
Indeed. That's very true, and does look like slowly but surely Fredriksson is catching up.
He is, yes.
Especially now that Grems, I noticed he has Wattmann ahead of him, so possibly working with just a tiny bit of dirty air.
And I should add that all of them are gaining ground on Cesarius, even if there is still a healthy lead, but he's losing that lead to the pursuers. Slowly but steadily.
And I just noticed with that pit stop for whited, Fitch is up into 6th at the moment.
He is, yes.
So it's sort of incredible that all he needs is technically 2 drivers to run into more trouble, and he could have a top 5 here.
Yep. Bruno Chacon is also now top 10 because he's in 9th position.
Oh, he will be very happy with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, his steadiness is always rewarded.
Indeed, and it sort of feels like a bit like what I'd assume the real Gilmore Racing team setup would have been, with AJ Foyt obviously in the quote-unquote leading car, and then from what I heard or read, I can't remember exactly, I believe he gave the seat sometimes to one of his mechanics.
Yeah, that was the case with what's the name now? George Snyder. George Snyder is the mechanic, and AJ Foyt always rewarded him, allowing him to take the backup car at Indy. But in this season, he gave him a 1-year-old model Coyote, which actually was the same, in fact, as the other car, and he could make most of the season with it. It was a permanent car, and that's why we also made it permanent. And Fredriksson is now already behind Grems, and I think it shouldn't take for him too long to overtake him.
Norman Hackman keeping a watching brief, as is White just another few seconds behind, so this is a very close fight between the technically 4 of them.
Yeah, well, they're taking it easy. That's obvious. Nobody wants to blow the engine, eat life from the engine towards end of the race.
Well, I suppose you could say it's partly them taking it easy, but it's still a close fight, which is very, very nice to see.
Yeah, like I said, it looks a bit like slow motion, but the fight is there, that's for sure. And again, they are eating slowly a bit the distance to Cesarius, although the distance is very big, nearly half a lap. Well, actually, half a lap. Which probably allows Cesarius to take it easy and not risk it with the engine.
Indeed.
Uy, uy, uy. Jacob there got a bit sideways. But if he gets any closer, it will start to be really uncomfortable for Mickey Grimes to have someone there in the tail, because the cars are unsettled very much due to the aero effects in those situations.
Indeed, I assume the less area you have on the car in the first place, the more nervous it will become.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about nervous. I think Fredriksson's car ain't too happy sitting there either.
No. And Grimes is using very low wings, because I can see that he's doing very high speeds with the wig of Offenhauser. He's able, yet he very safely he put the lap car there in between Fredriksson and him, and that has given me, look at that, I mean, how much breathing room that has given him.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. It's very much seesaw in Indianapolis, especially, or any like really big open oval.
Oops! Accident there. Someone who was behind. There's someone who has hit hard in one of the turns.
Oh, it's François Remen! Oh no! And that looks like a massive, massive crash. Oh, ended up too late on the turn into 4, and the car, I suppose understandably so, snapped on him in the dirt and muck on the outside of the line there, and hard into the outside barrier, and it looks like it flipped over the car as he hit the outside barrier. That's very, very unfortunate indeed. He was doing really well, but I suppose that is, considering how late he was on turning, I would hazard to say that's concentration being lost.
Could be.
So that means we're now down to, that's 15 cars still running in this race. So less than half of those that started are still running with, what would that be, 64, about 60 laps to go.
Well, I should say that in the real race, only 13 cars finished. I mean, 15 were qualified, but only 30 really ended running. 13. So it's really a low number, but this is a big attrition race. That's obvious.
Yep, and it looks like Fitch is right on the money, just barely. Just ticks over to the lap I think he needs to get to make it to the finish. Starting lap 143, he's in for his, what I reckon to be his second last pit stop. So that's 56 laps left, since he's now a lap down.
Mm-hmm.
So that is...
Yeah, that helps. That helps making the fuel, obviously, if you're a lap down or two. No sign yet of Cesarius entering the pits. Oh, yes, indeed, he does. He just doesn't signal it. Ooh. Let's see what happens now. Let's pay attention and see if his car gets 4 tires or only 2. Very well aligned for the exit. Right side tires for him now.
Yep, took left side tires last time. Looks like he's getting ready to go.
And it seems to me, yeah, that only right side tires would change.
So I wonder if he's doing right side, left side, right side, left side tire changes then.
I don't know. We will have to ask him after the race.
Indeed. If he's doing that, that's a masterstroke in tactics and possibly the car giving him a bit of extra confidence to be able to do that.
And Mickey Grams has also done his pit stop now. That's why Jacob was leading him. Cesarius is now 4th, but that won't last too long because Jacob is now coming in the pits. All Penske's except one.
Hackman, it is
It's
still
Jason
continuing.
White. Jason White is in the pits. Is entering the pits also. He's really in the same strategy and ability to stretch the laps as Jacob. They are always together in the pits. Let's see how it pans out this time. If Jason is again outsmarted by Jacob. See, Jason is taking right side tires. What about the lefts?
Looks like he will be soundly
Yeah,
beaten by friction.
he will take lefts. He will take lefts. Yeah, that was a long pit stop for Jason, which allows
Oh dear.
Jacob to go. Jacob has overtaken, by the way, Grams in the pits, although he's now exiting the pits. Yes, and Grams is exiting turn 4. And there you see it. That's the advantage that you gain if you are able to stretch it one more lap.
For sure.
Cesarius is 2nd. Adam Hackman is 1st, but he's signaling the pits now.
So he's continued for 2 more laps here, has Hackman.
And I see a barbecue. Grams has blown the engine.
Oh no!
Yes, Grams has blown the engine.
Oh, what rotten luck!
Yep. There he goes into the pits.
Oh, right on entry to 3 as well.
Yep.
That it started to go wrong, maybe I should say, and then it looked like he got through turn 4, and just as he starts to put full throttle on again, it completely went on him. Oh dear. Well, it has to be said, Mikey did an absolutely tremendous job with that car to keep it up there. And
so Hackman just lost the lead. Hackman just lost the lead because Cesarius went by. But he's still 2nd.
And looks like 4 tires for Hackman as well.
And he's now 3rd since Jacob goes by.
It looks like he should be able to beat White here, so Hackman should be able to stay in 3rd. Another local man, I believe, seeing as Jason told me earlier that Hackman was actually in the stands for the Indy Grand Prix earlier this weekend.
Yeah, I think he's a Hoosier too. He's from Indiana. We got a lot of Hoosiers here. August also from Indiana.
Indeed. And unfortunately he had quite an early exit here, but
yes.
Again, one of those things with Indianapolis, it can be a very, very cruel place, this.
It's a big attrition race, that's for sure.
I suppose it could be said to be in the same range of like Le Mans and Bathurst, in the way that when everything is going fine, it's absolutely marvelous. As soon as something starts going wrong, oh
yeah,
dear,
horrible.
You know it's a bad time coming.
And Cesarius has so far been dominating the race. It's a matter now of seeing if his engine can make the whole distance. Because
Indeed.
with what we're seeing here, it starts to be hairy.
Very much so. I mean, I suppose the positive thing for him is that he's been in the lead for most of the race. I think he spent the first stint running like 4th, 5th and climbing up. So that's the only time really I think he's put the engine under any longer time of strain, but obviously you never know for sure. But fuel-wise, I believe everyone running in the top, well, I suppose 7 or 8 now, maybe even the whole field should be able to make it, possibly with the exception yet again of Simon Wattmann. Again, with that, with the strategy he's running, it's I am not sure whatsoever what kind of strategy he's actually running. But it's again a question of the Penske's running line astern, although with a bigger gap this time. But Hackman is third, White is fourth, and Wattmann is fifth.
Maybe Wattmann is not feeling that tank completely and is counting with doing more stops for tire reason. I don't know. I have no idea. We will have to ask him later too.
Indeed. I suppose that's the only possible option left by now.
So it's lap 150, 51 actually for Cesarius already. We are in the final stint of this race. There should be still one pit stop to go.
Yep.
And that will be an interesting one because from then on, those who have saved fuel could theoretically crank up the boost a bit more. Although that also means more danger for the engine life, so
Indeed.
I don't know what they are going to do.
I mean, considering all the barbecues we've seen here, it's I would be very, very hesitant myself to put on any longer amounts of boost. I see that with the retirement there for Grems, Chacon climbs up into 7th, and Jason Fitch secures for now a 6th spot in the field. Yannick just behind Chacon, actually running 7th and 8th at the moment. Anders Nilsson is promoted to 9th, and Jules Bouchard is promoted up into 10th. With our other drivers still running, Ray Riddle soldiering on in the Chaparral Racing Lola, currently in 11th. Jason Whitehead running 12th for the Bryant WIBC Racing entry. Raul Jereb 13th for the Fletcher Racing team, and Luciano Rocha also soldiering on for the Leader Card Racers entry. In one of the, I believe that's one of the Lightnings. But I obviously could be wrong. Unfortunately for us, that looks like there's no battles out on track, so I suppose what we will do is that we will have a few messages come your way, and when we're back in a couple of minutes time, we will be going live until the end of the race, but hang tight, we will be right back after these very important messages.
We start with good fresh chicken, like we know we should.
11 herbs and spices, make it finger-licking good.
We don't freeze roll or chop it. It's chicken, nothing more.
That's a real good reason why smart folks come here more. It's so nice to feel so good about a meal, so good about Kentucky Fried Chicken.
We're here in the desert to prove how much power and endurance is packed into the Skill cordless 3/8-inch drill and screwdriver. With just one charge, we drilled 199 holes.
200.
And it still has enough muscle to drill through concrete and drive screws into metal with 2-speed trigger for better control. For any tough job at home or anywhere, take along the Skill cordless drill and screwdriver and do it with skill.
From South Carolina to North Dakota, they know what makes a state fair a great fair.
Beer makes it good.
These It's just one Schlitz.
There's no debate.
Nothing else comes near.
Beer makes it good.
When you're out of Schlitz.
Schlitz makes it great.
You're out of beer.
11 million times a day, America reaches for a Schlitz. Every drop chill lagered for quality since 1849.
Schlitz makes it like no other could. Schlitz makes it great.
Budget Rent-A-Car is the fastest growing major car rental company in the world. Maybe it's their great rate.
I hear the reservation system is really fast.
They do seem to have locations wherever you need them. Like right over there.
Well, if there's one there, what are we doing here?
Get to know Budget, and you'll know what we're doing to make us the fastest growing major car rental company in the world.
Budget features Lincoln Mercury and other fine cars. For reservations, see your travel consultant or call our toll-free number.
If you really want to save...
I suppose you can never truly trust commercials. They are too short for you to leave the set to go anywhere, but too long for you to want to watch them. I was sitting here having a drink and just noticed, oh dear, it's starting to close in on time for it to end. I noticed there Simon Wattman heading out to the pits, so that should be his presumably final stop. He might be doing a splash at the end. So that could very well mean that with a bit of fortune and luck for Jason Fitch, he could have a top 5 finish in his sights here. And that would be a tremendous result for the AMC-backed Warner Hogden Racing Team. If that does happen the way it looks like it may very well do. Let's see, Ray Riddle up into 10th.
Whoops,
so
another car barbecue. I see smoke on the horizon.
Oh dear.
I think that's Bouchard.
Oh no.
Yeah, Jules Bouchard. Indeed. The engine is smoking there. The open houses are having a hard day here. I don't think we have seen yet. Well, Dana was disco, but I don't think we have seen a Cosworth break yet.
Well, I suppose it's a case of Offenhauses having to run at such a strained limit that any kind of minor fault within the engine and it immediately goes, can't do this any longer, and heads home. So that's unfortunately most likely a retirement for Jules Bouchard. Which means Ray Riddle is promoted up into 10th, which I think he will be happy with considering the off he had earlier. That's a bit of a recovery drive.
And I can see that Jacob is been able to come closer to Darius, not by a lot, but the lead is diminishing. And because this race is so long, anything can happen. It's still 39 laps till the end.
It is indeed.
13 seconds gap. I'm looking here at the timetables, and Jacob has been lapping marginally quicker than Cesarius, so that's why the gap has diminished. Jacob is venturing usually into the 47.3s, whereas in the case of Cesarius it's more 47.5, 47, even 48. I'm not sure if it's fuel what is keeping him from going quicker. Maybe he's trying to make it to the next pit stop that he has planned. It should be the last. But in any case, he's going slower. Certainly slower than Jacob.
It could be, I suppose, a bit of both, looking after the car and engine and saving a bit of fuel and Obviously, I think he only took 2 tires last time, so could also be that he's trying to keep the car between the outside barrier and the inside barrier.
Yeah, it's very quickly diminishing. I see now nearly Jacob has eaten nearly a full second since I last looked at it. It's not going so good for Cesarius right now.
It's a case of, I think we'll have to keep an eye on it and see what transpires of it and who I suppose blinks first in terms of pitting.
So to visualize it, the distance between both now is exactly the man stretch, because as Cesarius was entering turn 1, Jacob was exiting turn 4. That's your distance now. And Jacob's still lapping quicker than Cesarius.
That's quite impressive, I must say. And no, Jacob, he's been running to a strategy the whole time, and maybe now he's starting to feel like, well, we're closing in on the finish. I'll just take my chances a little bit and try to go a little bit earlier maybe than what he intended, but clearly closing in quite quickly.
Yeah, the problem here is that even in the last stint, you cannot, even if you have safe fuel, you are not able to crank up the boost much because the temperature then kicks in. And the engine has already eaten a lot of its life during these 500 miles. So if you put more stress on it, you might quickly finish whatever is left of it.
Indeed, it's a bit like I remember back to, I think, an old, semi-old Top Gear episode where they were racing, like semi-racing with fuel and like trying to make it on a certain amount of fuel or something. But here it would be with engine life instead, and you know that, I could probably catch up to him if I just put on a bit more boost. But obviously, if I do that, will the engine hold? It's definitely what I suppose you could also visualize as a cat and mouse kind of thing. Like, how much do you actually dare to play as the cat? How much do you dare play with the mouse before you either lose it or it bites the dust? Without you wanting it to happen, obviously. And it looks like Jason Fitch, despite Wattmann pitting and having new tires and more fuel to use in the car, Fitch has actually opened up the gap to Wattmann.
And he's 5th.
Indeed. So as I said when Wattmann pitted earlier, since Wattmann, I'd assume, needs to do a splash towards the end of the race with the strategy he's running, this could be a top 5 finish for Jason at the end of this one. And that I think he would be once again be extremely happy with if that does happen. Chacon into the pits, that almost seems a little bit early.
Yeah, it does. Maybe he's in for repairs, I'm not sure.
I suppose so. Let's see, 167 for him. Let's have a quick look at the leaders lap. 169.
We are 34 laps from the end, I think. Let me see, because for the leader it's 32.
Laps?
For the leader is 32, I think. So it's indeed early for Chacon. But since he has been lapped, maybe he counts already with doing one less lap.
Well, possibly.
Yes, same as Fitch, for example. He was just lapped by the leader again. So maybe that's what has given him confidence to be going a bit quicker.
Not entirely impossible, I suppose. But look at that in the turn, he's actually closed in now, did Fitch on Schlapinski, so that despite being an old chassis, that Eagle looks like it handles quite nicely in the corner still.
Yeah, it does. It's the way that Jacob is eating the distance to Cesarius is very slow. Very slow. I'm not sure. Well, we still have one pit stop to go, and if I remember correctly, in the last one, Cesarius only took 2 tires. So maybe in this situation he needs 4, and the end of the race could be way tighter than it seems.
This is definitely going to be a very interesting end to the race.
Yep,
and
we are
obviously
30 laps now from the end, and any moment could be the last pit stop for these guys.
Indeed, and obviously behind them as well we have the Penske's, which could very easily turn up the wick and close in as well. And as we have seen from Wattmann especially, they can go extremely quickly once they put a bit of extra boost in it, so...
Yeah, they can, that's for sure.
It's one of those, well, it looks like Fredriksson could have a shot at this. Looks like Schlapinski might very well take the win easily, but obviously the Penske's are still within striking distance. Dear me, this is going to be one cracking finish to this event. Final pit stop just a few laps away.
Yeah, and I imagine that in the next lap, Cesarius maybe is going to take the pit stop. Or maybe not. If he has been able to save fuel all this time, maybe he stretches it to 26 or 27 from the end. But if he tries to crank up the boost, then that will be a dangerous situation for his engine. So maybe he will simply go on as usual. But if Jacob threatens him, then he will crank the boost.
It's certainly possible. Looks like Fitch signaled for pits. He did, so Fitch is coming in for his final stop. Just in behind Schlapinski there. Let's see, Fredriksson also continues for another lap. I'm fairly sure Hackman will continue as well. He does, and he has closed in on Fredriksson as well in the meantime.
Oh yes.
So it is getting closer, and obviously Jason White, if any spills comes of the top 3, White is right in the box seat to take advantage. And Fitch now exiting the pits, still in 5th. There goes Wattmann and Yannick. So Yannick as well quite high up, but obviously not pitted yet, I don't think, for the final
And
time.
Schlapinski coming to the pits.
Oh, let's have a look at this then. What will he do?
Let's see what Fredriksson does. Fredriksson goes for one more lap. So he's going to take the lead now.
Let's see what... Let's see, that's
right tires for Cesarius.
Will he take left as well, or will he take a chance?
Long pit stop this time. No, he only changes the rights. Okay.
Wow. That's a roll of the dice. I think he's done that early in the race as well though, but that is still a roll of the dice this late in the race.
Yeah, we'll see what Jacob does now. He's signaling the pits, obviously, same as Adam Hackman.
So gone for one more lap, let's see what happens here. As he comes in, and Hackman looks to be continuing for another lap.
Yeah,
So
Adam
clear.
Hackman is undercutting both of them. We will see.
Yep, and a clear entry for Fredriksson into the pits as well.
More cars coming to the pits. Jason White. Jason White, who overtakes,
Oh,
by the way,
Fredriksson
Jacob in the
takes
pits.
2 tires as well.
Okay. There goes Schlapinski, I think, right now.
No, I think that was Chacon. No, that was Schlapinski indeed.
See, Fredriksson is coming out of the pits now.
Looks like it's going to be 6, 7, 8 seconds maybe.
Yep.
Probably 8, maybe 9 seconds.
Yeah. No, they are in sight. I mean, they are rather close.
Oh, and Hackman continues for another lap. Hackman is playing the fuel game really well here. He'll have possibly a lot of fuel to work with towards the end of this race. What can he do? He was only 7 seconds behind Ferguson as Ferguson pitted as Ray Riddle is out. Oh, all that climbing back up the field, and then another a retirement. I wonder if they... You see, he pitted right here.
And Slapinski's in the chute between turn 1 and 2. He's held by Simon Watman now. And Fredriksson is now also in the same chute. Fredriksson is now much closer to Slapinski. Let's see what happens in this last stint.
So unfortunately, Ray and the Cossers had their first engine failure just now. So while there's a bit of a gap there, Jason Whited will inherit a top 10 in half a lap to a lap here, whereas he runs very wide there. Clearly possibly feeling a little bit tired from all of this, so okay, he's letting the faster car by, so I think that was Hackman he's letting by. It looks like...
So, as it stands now, is Sarius in the lead. Jacob about only 7 seconds behind. Then is Adam Hackman, who is third, 30 seconds
only 10
behind.
seconds from the lead, give or take.
Yep.
Wow.
Jason White is now fourth. Simon Watman is fifth. Jason Fitz is sixth. Brian Janik is seventh. Chacon, who is signaling the pits and entering now, is eighth. Anders Nilsson is ninth. Jason Whited is 10th. Raul is 11th, and that's the last car running.
No, Luciano Roja actually in 13th is also running. So he'll be at least a 12th place finish in a couple of laps time. But let's keep a watch on this leading battle. What will happen here? I'm especially intrigued with Hackman. Seeing how quickly Wattman was able to run with the Penske. What can Hackman do from here? 22 laps to go.
Yeah, the position of Jakob Fredriksson is in real danger now.
Certainly, and
but
I'm not sure Slapinski is all safe and out of the woods either.
No, now he needs to walk on a very thin line between preserving the engine and not letting them catch up with him, which is not that easy. Half a stretch is more or less the lead that he has.
Yep, and only a few car lengths is the lead Fredriksson has on Wattman.
On Hackman.
On Hackman, yeah, sorry. That's another one of those like white and whited between Hackman and Wattman. It's like, come on guys, please, can't you make it a little bit easier for us?
So the last lap for Cesarius was a low 47.293. In the case of Jacob, it was 47.6, so definitely slower. In the case of Hackman, it was a 47 dead, so he's really catching up now.
Indeed, and that car has the possibility to go another second or so quicker still.
Yep, no, he's really catching up with Jacob. I mean, I don't think that Jacob will be able to keep that second place. The question is what will happen with the lead.
Indeed,
because the laps are going down quickly.
Indeed, and how much time will Hackman need to try and make a move on Fredriksson? Will Fredriksson say, well, try to go for the win here? Or will he say, I want the second place?
Well, I don't think it's anymore his choice now. Look at that. That Penske is getting very close.
Holy moly, that difference in speed in the chute.
Yeah, and I think Hackman is setting him up for this straight now. He will be kicking the boost in, and that should be it. There you go. Yeah, he's already there.
Nicely done, Hackman. Nicely done. So that's 11 seconds he needs to eat up.
And 20 laps to go.
Oh, he could make that work. Catch up, yes. Pass. Maybe. Depends on how the traffic treats both of them, I suppose. And Wattman has been back in the pits and Fitch is back up to... Oh no, was that Fitch? That
No,
was Vatman and
that's-
that was Fitch. Oh dear, both of them. Oh dearie me, whatever happened there? Ooh, so Fitch actually had to try to go beneath a slower car. Ooh, and spins towards the inside where Vatman was exiting the pit lane.
Yeah, he spun on the apron.
Ooh. That was a very, very close call. Oh no, and there's a blown engine for both of them! Oh, Fitch blows the engine. And it looks like Vatman has done so as well. Well, I wonder if Vatman span as well in all of that. No, it looks like he had trouble even before that. Oh dear, I can't believe that. Both Vatman and Fitch out with engine failures. Oh, that's such...
Yeah, but the interest
rotten
is now
luck.
in the lead, where Adam Hackman is lapping on the 47s and catching up with Cesarius.
He is indeed. 17 laps to go and around 10 seconds to eat up.
Cesarius is going as quick as he can now.
Which I suppose is understandable because it's a Penske Cosworth behind him now.
No joking. I mean, 8 seconds is now the distance because Adam Hackman has really cranked the boost up.
Wow.
And is catching up quickly with him.
So Adam is doing what Simon did earlier.
Yeah,
in the race.
Adam did a 46.7 in the last lap. Whereas in the case of Cesarius, it was a 47.6. Adam was a second quicker.
On another 46.9 this time around.
Yep, only 6 seconds to go. Ooh. 17 laps to go. Ooh. Cesarius could have here his position in very much in danger.
This is
I don't think that he can go much quicker because he's doing the fuel.
Wow. I think this
And Hackman is now really stepping on that Penske.
This is reminiscence of this could very well be reminiscence of yours and Dana's battle all those years ago.
And look at that. He's exiting the last turn now. It's half a stretch, the distance between both of them. And for Cesarius, this cannot end quick enough.
Let's actually jump on board with Hackman right now and see what he's seeing as he is attacking this track with all he has.
That Penske is flying. Look at that. That's back there in front of him. Entering now that turn. That's Cesarius. 16 laps to go. Will he be able to make it?
I'm fairly sure he'll be able to catch up. The question is, will he have time to make a move of it?
Well, with that speed differential, I would think so.
And obviously the overhanging issue, will the engine survive? will it take this strain?
Well, this is also the case for Cesarius. I mean, none of them is really in a good situation of cranking it up, but well, you've come so far, and with that win tantalizingly close, what do you do?
Right.
Adam has had to back off a bit on the boost, although he's attacking the corners.
It's probably a question of looking after the engine. Probably was getting a little bit hot.
Cesarius' last lap was 47.2. He's speeding up as much as he can, far away from his best times. But Adam Hackman was 46.7. Now 46.4.
Whoa!
He's flying.
That's under a tenth away from his best lap time. Now we can even see the side of Slabinski's car up in turn 2. Hackman is giving it his all here. Look at that, he's pulled away 8 seconds to Fredriksson already.
Yep.
Wow.
And if Cesarius thought that he had everything under control because he was holding off Jacob, he has now a challenger that is very different one.
Indeed, definitely a case of think again, old chap. Oh, a bit of traffic there. I wonder how that will play out. I think that is that Whitehead, I think. Oh, very nicely done. Good job, Jason. keeping a lookout on what is going on out on track. That's a very, very good job indeed.
13 laps to go.
And 6 odd seconds to go for him to catch up. Wow.
It's incredible. After 500 miles of racing, they are so close here.
This is truly what the Indy 500 is all about. Getting to this point and having all this excitement.
Ooh.
Look how close that is now.
Uy, 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 uy.
I wonder if it's a case of for Schlapinski now. He looks in his mirror, sees that Penske in the rear mirror, and gets sort of a view of, oh God, he's coming. He's here.
Very likely. He's climbing up the walls also. Same
Oh
as
dear, someone on
Hackman.
the inside grass there, I think. Oh, there's a blown engine. Julia Reb is out.
Another Cosworth.
It is indeed.
So it's not as if they are much more reliable, it seems. They last a bit longer, but, well, we'll see.
For sure, for sure. Well, looks like everyone still running, will get a top 10 finish here.
And Cesarius has a bit more top
Fredriksson
speed.
has blown as well!
Oh, no. Well, he was obviously making an effort with the engine there.
Oh, indeed, indeed. It's one of those things.
Cesarius has even more top speed in the straights than Hackman.
Yep,
So if Hackman arrives to him, it will not be that easy to overtake.
No, indeed. He'll have to do what... was it Jason White, I think, who put a lapping on Schlapinski in the short shoot. It'll have to be that kind of pass, I suppose.
That puts Jason White as third for the moment.
Indeed.
Brian Janik is up to fifth, but will be fourth.
Dear me. Talk about attrition late in this race.
Bruno Chacon is sixth, but will be fifth.
Wow.
Cesarius now only with a lead of 3.5 seconds. 10 laps to go.
Yeah, he'll definitely catch up. But the question is, will he have like 5 laps or will he have 3 laps to make the move in? And where and how will he try to make it?
I think he will be making the move as soon as he's there.
Oh, indeed.
Because it's too big a price. Look at that. I mean, every time they go through a corner, that Penske eats a big chunk from the Coyote. The Coyote recovers a bit in the main straight, you know, because Hackman is stopping about 217 mph, whereas Cesarius is 222 or something like that. But then in the turns, it's a big chunk from the modern Penske. They are clearly, the Penske is using higher wings, and he's eating all the distance there. 9 laps to go. Oof.
This is going to be so close.
This is like the finish between Gordon Johncock and Rick Mears.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, here is the part where the distance is bigger. Penske coming close.
But look at that. Schlapinski used all of the road available to try and get some speed out of the car. Meanwhile, Hackman had a good car width left to get to the wall.
8 laps to go. Oof, this is going to be really hairy.
Definitely so. Let's jump aboard with Schlapinski's foil-powered Toyota for now. Look at that car in behind. See it becoming a bit of a smaller speck as he comes to the end of the back straight. And now through the turns. Ooh, Schlapinski with a big loose moment coming through 3 there.
Careful there, because it could be not second but nothing.
Ooh, and another loose moment coming through 4. He is definitely trying everything he has, but really struggling with that car right now. I wonder if the tires are starting to give up as well.
Well, if he has changed only the rights, I can imagine.
But I think both of them only changed right-side tires, so looks like the Penske.
Yeah, but Cesarius maybe had them for 2 stints.
Oh, indeed, that is true. That is true.
Now held up a bit, and that has helped again a bit Adam Hackman.
That's Anders, so I would guess he will try to make room for Hackman once Hackman gets there. And look at Slapinski having to work that car to try and get it through the turns. Now his teammate ahead of him. 5 laps to go, I believe.
6 to go.
6
This
to
is
go.
lap 194. Although I'm not sure if it's completed laps or laps to go.
Ooh, traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. Unfortunately, Hackman got caught out a little bit behind Chacon, and it's back up to 2.5 seconds. Well, it's definitely such, as you say, the Penske is working better in the corners. Oh, and Slapinski, I think, may have scraped the wall right there.
I didn't see that, although the cars are stuttering for me a bit.
It looked very, very close either way. So I wonder if Hackman has anything left in the tank and the boost to try and mount a last moment dash here to make it a wing-to-wing battle at the end.
At least even if Cesarius had a big lead all the race over, you cannot say if he wins the race he will have earned it, that's for sure.
For sure, definitely.
Whoever of these guys who gets the race, he will have earned it.
For sure. You can definitely not say that they are definitely giving it everything they've got, and possibly then some, to try and make a dent in each other.
Are moving there a lot for Cesarius.
But I think that's the problem he's constantly having with the tires now. Let's jump back on board with Hackman to look ahead at Slapinski's car.
And Hackman must be driving also with a bit more boost because I'm seeing he has more top speed. Although that could also be the car getting lighter.
Possibly a bit of both. Now that we're ending the last bit of the race, it's a case of even if he blows up, I think he will get a podium finish, so...
That's true. That's true.
Oh, and the fastest lap of the race there, 45.9. It's just a question of is it a little too late, or is it just in time? Let's see what happens here. See, it's definitely, it looks like he's even getting closer down the straight this time.
He's running out of laps. He's running out of laps.
The question is Slapinski's tires going to hold up? Is the engines going to hold up? What is going to happen here? Yes, I believe we are now entering the final lap.
Not yet, I think.
Well, I'll put on the final lap just in case. I never learn with AMS. Well, let's see here, 1.5 seconds. The difference, and a lapped car to put in between them. So coming through turn 4 here is Slapinski. As he heads towards the start-finish line. And it's one more lap, so this is the final lap indeed. But that lap traffic will have put a spanner in the work for Hackman, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it seems.
So he definitely gave it a red-hot go and gave it everything he had, but unfortunately looks like it's not quite going to be enough for the Indiana boy. And it'll be the pole racing for the Gilmore Racing team and the Coyote for its engine in the back of that chassis. Is going to just about be able to make it and hold on to win the Indianapolis 500 here at the International Sim Racing Organization. What a tremendous finish that was. But congratulations to Cesaro Slapinski, who takes the win in this final
Very
mile
deserved,
race.
very well deserved.
Wow.
So that's Hackman already second, and now it's coming Jason White, who will be third. Very good for his championship campaign, obviously, because this is a big points-paying race.
Indeed.
Next will be Brian Janik.
Yep, Jason coming now to finish.
And
So
Bruno
depends-
Chacon, a top 5. Lots of points there to be back.
Yep.
Anders Nilsson 6th and Luciano Rocha 7th.
So here comes Yannick, I think the final car on the lead lap. So keeping the Finley on the lead lap is no mean feat. Brian Yannick takes 4th.
Pull down lap, and now Cesarius rightfully could park in the winner's circle. Though I'm not sure if he's going to do it.
Looks like Whitehead will be classified 10th, so Jereben Fredriksson will be classified 9th.
Yeah, there
and
he
8th.
goes.
Oh dear, don't
Okay.
run him over.
There's the trophy waiting for him.
Look at that. That is a great shot to finish off this race. What a race that ended up being. What a drive from everyone.
Yep.
Ooh. Well, I'm spent and I didn't even race. The drivers must be absolutely flabbergasted by now. What an absolute awesome finish that was. Whew.
Nobody in the green room. Everybody must be absolutely total by now.
Well, I suppose while we wait to see if any of our drivers would like to have a chat with us, let's...
I have to leave you all because it's a bit late here, but it was always a pleasure to share the broadcast with you,
Yep,
Jonatan.
No problem. Thank you very much for joining me.
Okay, thanks everybody for watching, staying there. I hope everybody enjoyed the race because it was really exciting to watch. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you, Alberto.
User disconnected from your channel. Channel created.
I'll see, just going to do that. So while we wait to see if any of our drivers would like to join us for a post-race chat here, let's actually have a look at the trivia question and answer for you all. So this you had to ponder on while we were waiting for... while there were no major action out on track, I should have said. So the question for you were, which of the following drivers won the Indy 500 in only their second start? Was it A, Mario Andretti? Was it B, Rick Mears? Or was it C, Bobby Unser? I believe Barry Lynn answered that she thought it was Bobby Unser. You can see that David Junt, bit hesitantly maybe, goes for B, Rick Mears. And the correct answer is actually B indeed. So Rick Mears won it in 1979, right the year after this particular one.
User joined your channel.
As we are
User was
just
moved to
in
your
time
channel.
now being joined
User
in the
was moved to
broadcast
your
booth
channel.
as well. So let me just bring up the correct screen here for us to have in the background. And we are joined by all our podium finishers actually. So first and foremost, I suppose, Cesarius, congratulations on that Indy 500 win. That must feel great.
Yes, it does. It does actually. I was, the most afraid thing of this race was of the engine. Will it last or not? Because I was doing some offline tests, and once I think it was one random malfunction of the engine, but it blew up some 10 laps to go.
I can certainly understand that. We were going on about that for the final, I think about 50 to 75 laps, going on like, how will the engines fare? Because we saw even some of the Cosworths breaking late in the race. But looking at your race, you started climbing up from, I think you started 6th or 7th maybe for this race, and climbed up to take the lead early on, and looked like you were more or less running on your own for most of the race after that.
Yes, actually, I did some, I don't know, 600 laps of practice, and I really knew where the limit for the fuel is and how to, put everything together. And the most difficult thing for me was, not to get into traffic or into any accident, not to get any damage and things like that. And because I have to drive with only one hand, I also discovered the crew chief application is fantastic.
Oh, that's correct. So your arm is still not fully healed?
No, it's broken. I think I got some 2 weeks left in the cast yet, and then hopefully we'll get it back fully functional.
Oh my God! Then even heartier congratulations being able to pull that off.
Thank you very much.
And obviously, you were afraid about the engine. What did you think about Adam, like showing up? I know you had Fredriksson behind you for, I don't know, 20 laps, but then suddenly you had Adam right behind you. How did you find that final end to the race? It looked like he was a little bit quicker.
It was hard time. I saw them both, cutting time like some 2/10, maybe 3/10 each lap. And until, I don't know, 6 laps to go, I got some spare fuel to use, and I could bring my lap times a little bit down. But it was, one mistake, a slide or whatever, and I would lose the win actually to somebody behind, to Adam or to Jacob earlier on.
Well, again, massive congratulations on your win, and clearly a big step towards the championship as well, with those 1,000 points you will have scored with that.
Oh yes, very valuable. I needed that.
And with us in the booth as well, we have our second place finisher, and Indiana-born, or at least Indiana living, Adam Hackman. Congratulations on finishing second, although I suppose it's a little bit of just a little bit more and it would have been a win.
It is and it isn't. So, these things always, the 500 miles, it's always completely different than what you have planned. So, I was just talking to Jason earlier, and I had, when Juha had his moment, I had taken debris damage. So I had damage for most of the race. But, all things considered, I was glad to get second. And then, the big concern with the last stint was engine. So, just made sure, it's kind of a battle between holding myself back, wanting to go faster, but knowing that if I blew up with 10 laps to go, I would be even more frustrated. So
Indeed. Yeah, that's very understandable.
And congrats to Cesarius. That was a hell of a run, and even more so knowing you did that with a broken arm. I'm exhausted, and I don't have any ailments. So
and just a little bit interested to hear as well your take on, you were running with Simon and Jason for a lot of the race. Was that a pre-planned thing, or was it just it ended up like that?
It just sort of worked out that way. So we had talked strategy, but I fell back a lot more at the start than I wanted to, which seems to be my MO around here. But no, it was good. It's always good being by teammates.
That's certainly true. Well, again, congratulations on a second place finish in a hefty, I think, 800 points towards your championship tally. So
I'll take it.
Understandable that as well. So again, congratulations.
Thanks so much.
And we are joined as well by our pole sitter and third place finisher Jason White. Exhausted and happy, I'd assume, would be the contrasting feelings.
Yeah, this has been a great month of May. I mean, as an admin, first and foremost, it's my main concern that the event go off without a hitch. And to my knowledge, there weren't any major problems in the race, and we completed the 200 laps with no issues. So that's the most important thing to me. But also, congratulations to Cesarius on a fantastic win. Coyote Orange belongs in Victory Circle in Indianapolis. So there you go. It's a fantastic win for him, and very richly deserved. I was expecting to get swamped on the start by Juha because he's just incredible at these starts, and sure enough, he did. Had some good dices with some of the four bangers later on. I think Mikey and I had a couple of good battles. That was fun. But in the end, really, it just came down to who made the fewest mistakes, and I just took too much time in the pits this time around. That's one thing I'm going to be working on for Pocono and Ontario, is just making the most of the pit stop time as best I can. But I was watching all through the last few laps on the monitor, watching the 2 and the 1 dot, just like, come on, Adam, come on, go get him, and I had throttled back by then because I was just the same kind of thing as Adam. I'm like, I'm not going to throw away a third place here and all those points. It's been a great month. I'm not going to be greedy and ruin everything by blowing my engine. But we saw what happened for, I had always suspected, not to take away from Simon because he drove really well, but I suspected throughout the race that he might be overextending the car. And sure enough, the engine expired before the end. So I guess, that proves that there is that specter hanging over the cars. When you run 500 miles, you have to take care of the car. So I guess for me, that says, Cesarius driving with the one arm, but on top of that, obviously, all those miles of preparation you made prior to this were worth it. So, a big congratulations to you. Great job.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, after this 500-mile race, I suppose it's going to be a quite calm and collected Wisconsin State Fair Park next time out for Rex Mace Classic, 150-mile race only. After this, any prospects on how that will look for you guys? Cesarius maybe first, if...
All right. So the best thing is that the Coyote finally got the front wing to adjust, because it was terrible to drive it without it in 74, and I really took it hard, to learn to drive on the track like that without front wing. Now I hopefully will get my reward and bring this car in some top places, hopefully.
Sounds good. What about you, Jason? Any ideas on how that will look for you Penske boys at the Wisconsin State Fair Park?
Well, we did some testing there before the season started, and obviously there have been some changes in the physics, so who knows? That testing may not be worth anything at this point. But the car, I think Adam would agree with me that the car's base setting is loose, generally. And that's certainly the last thing that you want going around Milwaukee is a pushmobile. That's the last thing you want, is to... I remember I had one race, I think you covered it, where I just buried the car into the fence half on purpose because I was just so frustrated, because my car kept pushing. But this is a car that you have to approach the opposite way, make it more stable. So I don't know. I think we have a good shot to do well at Milwaukee. We'll see. What do you think, Adam?
We're hoping so. So always a fan of the short ovals.
I like Phoenix better than Milwaukee. That's me personally. I know Barry Lynn's not going to like me saying that, but I just personally I prefer Phoenix because there's more banking and it's faster. But yeah, it'll be an interesting challenge, and I don't know. Everybody always you mentioned it would be low key, but I don't know. That's a tense short oval. So.
Well, sounds good, and sounds like we'll have another cracking race in. I believe a few weeks' time. Let's have a quick double check. June 6th. Yeah, in 3 weeks' time we will be back USAC racing, so that is probably going to be another cracker then, a short track. That's always good for action, and of course Phoenix offered some really good action, so nothing saying that Milwaukee and Wisconsin State Fair Park won't do the same. But after this absolutely tremendous end to the event and the fantastic finish that we had in race overall, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me for this post-race interview, and thank you to everyone who tuned in. This has been an incredible experience to partake in once again. And also thank you to everyone at the admin crew and modding team for putting this on and putting it together to such a fantastic level of performance.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the broadcast.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. You always do such a good job, and especially in a 500 miler, that's a lot of stuff to keep track of. So we genuinely appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind words. So just before we end off this broadcast, let's have a quick look at what is coming up in the near future here at ISO. We have next weekend the International Ardag Flugplatzrennen Diepholz, the third round of the 1984 DRM Championship, sports cars and GT cars going around an airfield track. What could possibly go wrong? Quite a lot, if we're honest, but going to be a good bit of fun, I think. And in 2 weeks' time, on May the 30th, we will have the 72nd Grand Prix de France, the 8th round of our incredibly competitive as well 1986 F1 Championship, which after last time out I think is probably the closest Formula 1 championship we've had in all our time here. And I believe, yeah, and that is the coming up I have for you to know about at the moment. So with that, thank you once again for everyone who tuned in. Thank you to all our participants for putting on a fantastic show. And yeah, have a great time and take care of yourselves. And we'll see you all in broadcasting in 2 weeks' time. But until then, take care and good night.
User disconnected from your channel. Sound microphone muted.